All right, people. All right. إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا, people. What is going down? All right, that's the Discord server that's to be launched this coming week as part of the memberships program with Patreon and the ensuing YouTube memberships as well. So, people. Right. ¿Qué pasa, mi gente? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? What is going on? So, what I'll be doing is sharing. I'll be sharing the link for you guys to join up. I just want to check, can you guys all, first of all, it's always worthwhile doing an audio check. ऐसे बोलता जा रहा हूँ. Can anybody even understand me? Can you all hear me? So let me just check what's going on. People, I see you all in the comments. You do, Shaji, Seba, Chai Guevara, you're doing it. Right, Karima, Mustaqim, all right, people. Zahir, bonjour. Inaya, all right. You can all hear me loud and clear. Rah, you're doing it. So, people, what is going down? Now, let me, you know what, since it's Valentine's, so what I'll do is I'll share out the link first, spread the love. Now, is this the link? It is indeed. That's the StreamYard link right there. I'm going to bring it up on here. You can see it. There it is. I've put it in the comments. That's to join. You're doing it, people. You're doing it. So let me just check here. What's this? Because I only use this once a month, I keep forgetting. All right, people. All right, it's going down. So you're doing it, people. You're doing it. Right now, let's go back to the comments. Since it's a special, the below. Oh, somebody said my fresh trim. Abhi karna padta hai. It's this is the demand, the demand of the janta, the public. Ab hum ka kare? But on this joyous occasion, let me share with you all an Arabic, old, it's actually one of the muwashshahat from Andalus. And I've got one with the English translation. I don't know if I'm going to have to cut this out later on, because if YouTube flags it up, then I'll have to obviously crop it. But for now, people, you can enjoy. Look at this. All right. What about, how does that work? This is Al-Andalus, people, back in the days. Granada, Al-Hamra Palace, right there. And this was written by Ibn Zahar. All right, people, all right. Lamma bada yatathanna, hubbi jamalu fatanna. Hi. This was written by the famous Ibn Zahar, who I've spoken of when I spoke of Ibn Rushd, the philosopher. It's from that era, and this is from the muwashshahat, the poetry of Andalus, Muslim Spain, that they would often spend their evenings pondering over. So, people, what is going on? I have shared the link. So what is going on, man? What is going on? Somebody said, look, good idea for a Valentine song. I really like these muwashshahat. Occasionally I get distracted time to time, but upon occasion, maybe a couple of months will have passed by, and I'll sit down and I'll listen to them again, and Wow. You know, it just takes you away into this world. So, right. So, people, what is going on? All right. We've got quite a few of you already on the stream. All right, people. I've shared the link. I'll share it again as well. I might as well have it saved here actually on my, there you go, on my clipboard. So I'll share it time to time. Let me bring some of you in first of all. Aaaarrriiite, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Assalamu alaikum, Aaaarrriiite.
Wa alaikum assalam.
What is going on, Aaaarrriiite?
What's going on, Sheikh? How are you?
I'm good. Check you out, huh? Driving and chatting. Yo.
Well, please ignore the thing. It's it's
what is this? There's like a leaf dangling. Is it like a tree growing inside your car? Is that a ganja plant that you're growing right there?
Cannot be disclosed.
So what is going on, Aaaarrriiite, man? Talk to us.
How's it going, Sheikh? How's everything over there? How's the lockdown?
Things are good. The lockdown's doing my head in now, but It is what it is. And I mean, what can we do? We're just waiting. I've now finally decided, you know what? I need to start doing some home workouts, and I've got hold of some machines and some gadgets to kind of work out a bit. And I've ordered some stuff, but I don't know how long that will take to arrive. But it's doing my head in, honestly. I'm thinking, for God's sake. Yeah. But, so what about you over there?
Well, it's still locked down here in I'm in Toronto, so it's still locked down for another, I think, 1 or 2 weeks. So same old stuff. But you always look fine, Sheikh. You're always fit and fine, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, this is because they say hubbur. This is like nadhrul hub. You're looking with this eye of love, so you see good things. Well, I'm gonna let you drive safely, Aaaarrriiite.
Yeah.
I don't want you to crash that Maserati that you've got over there.
Right, one small share for you, Sheikh, for Valentine.
Mm-hmm. बोलिए please.
So धूप चुभती है मुझे छाव में जी लेने दो.
हाय ये कहाँ से चुभ रही है आपको?
धूप चुभती है मुझे छाव में जी लेने दो, जिसके साए में पड़ा हूँ वो सनोबर तुम हो.
हाय बड़ी गहरी शायरी फेंक दिए हैं आप. अब इसको पकड़ना पड़ेगा यार. We gotta grab hold of this poetry. This is like, he's just thrown a huge, like, that's just Everest. He just threw at us. He's like, yeah, catch.
Okay, so I'll let you go. Inshallah, I'll talk to you soon.
Shukran, man. Aaaarrriiite will catch up. All right. Assalamu alaikum. People, that was Aaaarrriiite about to just crash his Maserati right there. So I thought, look, let's be safe, people. You shouldn't drink and watch and drive. You might spill it. One should always take care of their drink. And so what is going on? Mariam, you're doing it. Look at that. So समझ नहीं आई. जायद हम समझ में नहीं, दिल में आते हैं. समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. So who have we got here? Mustaqim Habib, you're doing it. Look at the setup right there. But आप उस तरफ क्यों देख रहे हो? Why are you looking that way?
Well, forgive me, Mufti, but I'm using my phone as a webcam. Can you hear me properly, by the way?
I can, by the way. It is absolutely loud and clear, crystal. Whatever you want to say it. If you need to send out a distress signal, just go for it, man, Mustaqim.
I think those are especially needed on this blessed occasion of Valentine's Day for us single people, I guess.
So true. Yeah. Where are you joining us from, by the way, Mustaqim?
I am from Botswana. Do you know where that is? Catching you out here. Do you know where Botswana is?
Of course. Of course, mashallah. All the way from Botswana. Are you born and raised in Botswana?
Hell yeah. But I guess you could never guess what my ethnicity is.
I would have, you know what? I was just going to stereotypically assume that you were Indian, but now that you said, well, Botswana, and I'm trying to figure out what could it be, what could the ethnicity be. So I'm confused. I'm just going to make a fool out of myself by trying to guess things.
Oh, mashallah, you're exactly where I want you, because that's usually where I want people when talking about my ethnicity.
Exactly.
Well,
So
as exact as I could be.
wow. So go for it, man. So here I is right here.
Oh, mashallah. So, Mufti, I've been following you forever. Alhamdulillah, I finally got to talk to you in the flesh. We've been speaking on Instagram every now and again. So,
Of course,
alhamdulillah.
I'm here for you. I'm here. You know, it's people like you, Mustaqim, your love, your support, your appreciation, that keeps me going. You know, it encourages me, serves as an impetus to keep moving forward. So shukran for that. But yeah, what were you about to tell us?
Yeah, okay, well, first of all, just to build on what you said, I was speaking to Sheikh Madhar not too long ago, Madhar Mahmood, who was on
Oh, right, okay. Yes, of course,
yeah,
of course.
And
Imam Maz,
yeah, he came on to my podcast as well, and I think we might just as well title that episode the Mufti Abu Layth episode, because we mentioned your name like 100,000 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and one of the things he mentioned
send me the link, man. I'll check it out and put a shout out to it.
Definitely. It's not live yet. Inshallah, it'll be released maybe next weekend, but I'll definitely send it to you. Yeah.
Cool,
so he was saying that he is absolutely mind-boggled at the fact that you can keep laughing at your detractors the way you do after all the crap that they put you through. It's truly amazing. And it's an inspiration for the rest of us.
You know what happens? Look, in the end, you see, it really just boils down to how we react to certain circumstances. You know, there's things which are devastating, which, you know, that's the end of life. And there's things which may be sad or shocking, but they're not the end of the world for that person. And you can't control them. So sometimes in life, some things will happen that you can control and some you can't. So then it just depends on how you react to them. That will really define your experience and, you know, those moments for you. And with things like this, you know, people going on saying all kinds of nonsense, this is just nothing, you know, it's just hot air. And the way I see it is, look, you know, at the end of the day, I said to somebody once, he was going on and on and on. This is maybe about he'd got obsessed with me a while back. This was about 2 years back, and he's going on non-stop. And I said, look,
this is not Gangu Teli, by the way, is it?
No, it's not Gangu Teli. Gangu Teli has been obsessed in a different way, as in he'll make video clips. But this guy that got obsessed was every single day making a Facebook post about me, for months. And he's just a regular, but until all his friends were like, please, for the love of God, can you stop obsessing over Mufti Abu Layth? But I even said to him that, look, whichever way you spin it, at the end of the day, the discussion is still about me. You know, so I said, like, you know, bring it. I mean, this is good. You know, I see it as no press is bad press. You know, if you're just going to talk about me all day, maybe somebody from your whatever 100 listeners may actually think, well, actually, you know what, let me check Mufti out, and maybe, you know what, I actually like him. So yeah, that's it, man. And life's, you know, it's too short to be caught up in these tragic, sad affairs. It's better to laugh it off. That's what I feel anyway. I mean, it's ironic, you know. I was thinking about this just yesterday. I don't know what I was watching. Somebody said there was a clip where the person says, you know, like, well, I can't just laugh all the time like a mad person. And, you know, and I just thought that it's funny how we relate a sense of persistent, consistent laughter with insanity. You know, that's just so, you know, if you just ponder over that, it's so profound that we associate a state of of like just elated, blissful laughter if it's persistent and like if it's uninterrupted with insanity, because we assume that nobody normal will be able to pull that off. And I think that's, it just hadn't, it kind of took me away just thinking about it. So, but yeah, shukran, I appreciate that your words, your encouragement. It means
Absolutely.
a lot.
And I am going to take more of your character into stride, Mufti, because you won't believe this, but with my podcast, can you guess what the most controversial thing that I've put out has been so far? You'll never guess it, because, and I don't want to bring down my own country of Botswana, but this is how far back we are. I posted a clip. Have you heard of Sheikh Ismail Kamdar?
Sheikh Ismail Kandar. Not sure.
Okay, he's from South Africa, and recently he started working with Yaqeen as well. So he's Hanafi, but he's not like those Deobandis. Like, he doesn't make the Qaleed of Deoband and all that. Actually, he went through a journey. He used to be Hanafi, then he was Salafi, then he was Jihadi. So he went all the way around. Then now he's a Hanafi, but more in line with yourself, I would say. But anyway, in my podcast episode with him, we were having a talk about urf, about culture, and he said that wearing the topi or the kufi, whatever you call it, on your head, it's not something you have to do. It's a cultural thing. I posted that on a WhatsApp group, and I got messages at 3 a.m. in the morning saying that you are causing division in the ummah. You should think about the unity of the ummah and all that sort of stuff. For something as minute as not putting a hat on your head, people were ready to skewer me. So they're not ready for season 2, because the things that Sheikh Madhar said, and by the way, I've been poaching all your guests. I've been poaching Celt Islam. Momo has come onto my podcast. So
you're more than welcome. Spread the love, spread the connect. I mean, I feel that, you see, one of the best things people can do is really just connect with each other. This verse that we made you shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu, just so you may come to connect. And it's interesting that that you say that, because I'm very happy and to me that also is, in a way, maybe some of the guests are already very popular, but there's many guests who also may just be kind of rising in their own way, and in a way it's my giving back to them for sharing their time with me, that they also go to other platforms as well and kind of connect with other people. And so, yeah, it's all, I think this is this kind of stuff, because I've had 1-2 other people say this to me as well, that, by the way, Mufti, like, I've seen this, and then I've been approaching a few of your guests, and I've thought that's epic, man. Like, go for it, please do, because, it spreads further that message.
Absolutely. And yeah, it feels like a family, and it's very cathartic to connect with so many people in this way, I should say, to see Islam for what it truly is, in a way, instead of seeing it as a cult as it's made out to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, that can be the case with religion, with a capital R, with a big Deen with a big D. It can be, unfortunately, like institutionalized religion can rob people of its spirituality. But shukran Mustaqim, I appreciate it, and do stay in touch. You look like the kind of musician type, I have to say. I don't know if that is just the vibe you're giving off, but you look like, somebody had mentioned as well, like the guitar, like you've got a guitar there and you're at it, and I'm thinking, yeah, man, you've got that whole vibe going on. Is like a deafening silence? Mustaqim's gone off. Look at that. I think we might have. Oh no, you're back. So
have I come back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Sorry about that, Mufti. Yeah. I think it was the
no, it's good.
Internet. So yeah, okay. You mentioned music. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Now, interesting thing about music. Can you hear me, Mufti?
Yes. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Lagging behind.
Nope, you're absolutely with us. There's none lag behind the caravan.
Okay. Mashallah. So So with music, I used to be a punk musician, a punk guitarist when I was in school, and then I became a tablighi and became music is haram, blah 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 blah. But then recently, after listening to you and Sheikh Madhar and interviewing Celt Islam, I decided I'm going back to that. So I guess this is uh, a symbol of going back to my roots, if you will.
Doing it, man. Punk, huh? Hey, looking at me, punk? Huh? You talking to me? You're doing it. Mustaqim, it's been awesome. Shukran for sharing your thoughts. Take care of yourself, and we will speak soon, man. Cool. So, all right,
Doing
take
it,
care,
Mufti.
man.
Assalamu
Shukran. Much love, man. Assalamu alaikum. People, that was Mustaqim right there. Epic. Some great words of encouragement. Let's get on some other people. All right, we've had a few people waiting already. Look, the studio is full, people. It's obviously Valentine's. Ramyo. Let me add this and just show you.
No podemos.
People, that's the Can Muslims Celebrate Valentine's. Let's get that. Let's get that off. Let's get one of you on here. Who can I see here? Where are you at? Shadman Shan. Assalamu alaikum, Shadman.
How are you, Mufti?
I'm good, lillahi alhamd. What about you? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pretty good. A lot of homework, the times are obviously rough, just working my way out of the bubble,
Allah,
Yeah,
Allah,
exactly,
Allah.
yeah.
What are you at college? Are you at school?
No, I'm in high school, grade 11.
Grade 11.
16
I
years
don't know
old.
what.
Yeah, grade 11. I still got one more
That's
year.
like,
and then, uni.
so that's like, okay, so that's like the college here in the UK. Okay, so like sixth form onwards.
Exactly, yeah. So we're in Canada, so like we have so we have grade 11, grade 12 high school years, and then we have uni or college years. Exactly, yeah. That's basically how it is, yeah.
All right. So, all right. What is it you study?
So obviously I'm taking, so for high school, right, we have all like our courses and stuff like that. So I'm taking all the sciences right now. I'm still deciding what to do in the future. I'm still lost, I still don't know what I'm supposed to be studying. Maybe engineering. I don't know. Who knows in the future? Yeah.
I think one of the it's a I don't know I don't know whether it's to say a sad, but it's a bit of a disturbing, I find it anyway, disconcerting, this phenomenon of this age, that there's an expectation on young people to know exactly the plans for their life. Like they will be like, what do you want to do? Tell me exactly the kind of the map. Like I'm gonna, like you said, I'm going to get into engineering. I'm gonna become this. I'm gonna do this. But they want you to know that as kids. I mean, I didn't have a clue what was going on in my life when I would have been probably your age. And I just think, when people say, oh, I want to be this, and they're so sometimes sure of it. And I think, is that because they are sure of it, or is this because it's kind of been fed to them that this is how you're meant to know things already? You're meant to know exactly. Yeah. I just find it quite disconcerting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of let's see, like get down like some sort of, I don't know, some sort of secular degree, or more or less a business engineering, some sort of degree. Like my dad obviously wants me to become like an engineer in the future, and later on, I'm thinking of studying because me personally, I love the Abrahamic faiths, right? So I'm studying Koine Greek on the side as well. So by the time when I hit my master's, inshallah, one day, if I do stay alive, I'm thinking of
come on, Shadman. If we're gonna get a 16, 17-year-old talking about whether if he lives long enough, come on, how are you gonna make all the old people on here feel? How are you gonna make us feel? We're like, yeah, what's this guy on about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm thinking, hopefully I'll try to learn Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, try to master that out,
wow.
Inshallah, because that's my main thing, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, probably maybe a professor in religion, who knows, in a couple of years. I don't know.
Look at that, people. Shadman aiming for the stars, huh? Not selling himself short.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, Shadman, I think that's amazing, man. Epic. Were there any questions or anything?
I actually have just one question. So personally, right, Do you
Sure.
think it's acceptable to be taking narrations from like Kharijis? Do you like, for instance, right? Imran ibn Hattan, who's like a famous transmitter in Sahih Bukhari, right?
Have you seen? I just put a clip up just yesterday on this on YouTube.
From the this I haven't watched it, but no.
Okay, I
I'll
just
take a
put
look
it up
into it, yeah.
yesterday. It's called it was called Hypocrisy in Sunni Hadith Methodology, and it was about this. It's only about 5 minutes, 4 minutes, but it's about Imran ibn Hittan, and it's about Ibn Hajar and the Bukhari thing, and so. But okay, I mean, Karen. So I mean, just for other people as well, do watch that when you get a chance. It goes into this.
So so you have people like Ikrama, you have Al-A'raj as well, who's a famous transmitter from Abu Hurairah, right? You're openly like there are some transmissions, right, which I believe Yahya ibn Ma'in actually quotes it as well. That he had these Khariji tendencies and stuff. So do you think it's possible? Do you think it's fine to like accept narrations from them, or what? That's mainly my question right there.
Yeah, you see, the way I see these things is that you see, to me, the matan comes first and then the sanad. So I'm not saying every single thing a person who is a liar or is a criminal says must always be wrong. It's not, even like you could get a serial killer, but he could make a statement which is still a factually correct statement. Now, you see, so it's not about the sanad is secondary. The matan is primary. So we're going to look at what is the content of what is being delivered by this person that is in this chain. If that clashes with the three, with reason or with the Quran or with Islamic principles, then it is immediately rejected. If it doesn't and it's harmonious with whatever is already established, like let's say, for example, if one of these extremists, Khwarijis, he says something like, you should give in charity.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's, in the Quran anyway, and we know that is an Islamic principle. So there's no problem with that. But if he says, you should kill the apostate, and we don't have this in the Quran, in fact, it goes against that, then we got to be, whoa, wait a minute. This guy is already a violent extremist. So he's narrating something about extreme violence.
It's supporting his own madhab.
It's highly suspicious, because this is how I approach these kind of ahadith. It's all about the content, and the chain is secondary. We will look at the chain as well, but it's secondary. If the content is complementary to the established points, then it's not a problem. Even if somebody is massively problematic, but he says something about you should smile because smiling is, good, and fine. I mean, there's no problem in that, because we already know these good things. It's not a problem. So that's how I hope that explains, shed some light.
Yeah, perfect. Just last thing. So it's interesting, all right. The narrations to do with homosexuality, right? Killing them, right? You find the narrations, you find them mainly in Ibn Majah and stuff, right? It's interesting. All of them come through Ikrama. It's very and then the ones which say that Ali burned apostates and stuff, right? They all come through Ikrama. This is what's interesting. Even the incident of the slave girl, right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam allegedly forgiving the murder of some sort of slave, right? The slave girl, right? It all comes through Ikrama as well. So I'm pretty sure what you just said is correct. I mean, like, if the thing is supporting their own madhab, we have to be like very cautious of their transmissions.
100%. That, to be fair, they state that in the Usul Hadith books anyway. They say that إذا لم يكن ما لم يكن داعيا إلى بدعته. But the problem is that they still have a sense of double standards sometimes, some of them. So like Bukhari transmitting from Imran ibn Hittan, whilst and my point in that video was that it's not so much about Bukhari in that particular hadith. My point was that you see, the extract was taken from my clip on earrings. And so, but we've had this cut out once again because it's just about 5 minutes where I'm speaking about hadith methodology. So in that clip on earrings, I'm quoting how Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they used to wear earrings, and Hussein would wear it in both ears, and in fact he would have the bottom, the lobe, and the top kind of pierced of his ear. So, but this is transmitted in Shia sources. It's transmitted by Imam Ja'far and other people. And I mentioned that some people may say, well, we're not going to accept that because it's a Shia transmitter. And this is where I was highlighting the hypocrisy that, look, we have, like, there's a blanket statement that we won't accept because it's Shia. But then I said, but we will accept Imran ibn Hitan because Bukhari has accepted him. So what we're doing is just saying, well, here is a person who not only was happy with the murder of Ali radiallahu anh, but he glorified it with poetry. And he was known to remain persistent upon his glorification of the killing of Ali up until his deathbed. So how can we, I gave the example that imagine there was a narrator who did this about Umar, how Umar was murdered. So let's say there was a narrator who said, oh, it's really good that Umar got murdered and he got stabbed and he deserves him right and he's like this. Sunnis would never accept from him in a million years. Definitely. So my point was, why would they accept it from somebody who's glorifying the murder of Ali? And I said that this is obviously like what you're doing is you're instigating, you're kind of like, you're obviously triggering the Shia, because this is what you're saying is, like this, we would never accept it, but against Ali, we would accept it because Bukhari has accepted one of his narrations or two of his narrations. So this is my point anyway of saying that, and in the clip I kind of expand on it slightly. But yeah, Shadman, I think that's an amazing point you made, man. Shukran. Take care, man. Stay blessed. Much love. Assalamu alaikum. So people, that is Shadman. All right. I was just, a lot of people are joining the studio, so I've got to remove whoever's been to make space for more. Right, we've got Owl Network. What is Owl Network? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso, mi gente? All right, let's bring on Owl Network. Assalamu alaikum. You're on mute, by the way. You're still on mute. See, all right, now, you're teasing us now.
Actually, I think my back.
He's gone. See, such is life for some people, huh? Summun bukmun umyun. Right, let's bring on. We've got Darth Vader. Darth Vader, people. ¿Qué es eso? What is this? Let's bring him on. All right, cabron. Wa alaikum assalam. How is it going? I'm good. Darth Vader, you got a proper setup there, man. What's going on? Where are you joining us from?
Quite local, actually. UK.
Wow.
Yeah,
UK.
Bolton.
What city in the UK?
Bolton.
Bolton. Yeah. All right. This people is where all the Darul Ulooms are in that region, that little hub. Bolton, Bury, a few of the others, Blackburn. That's it.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. How are you keeping, Darth Vader?
Not bad. Obviously, lockdown for all of us. So, yeah.
Testing it is what it is, man. I can see, look at that, a keyboard in the background. I can see a guitar on the other side. It seems like love is in the air.
You got the musicians in the house today.
This is it, man. All these people writing their love songs and
it's a good pastime. So
that's it. It's Earth Angel. So what's going on, man? Talk to us. Share. What do you have? A question or a comment or?
Well, I wanted to actually discuss your theory of Akhenaten and Moses.
Oh wow. Okay, sure.
Because I have a slightly different theory.
Sure. Go for it. Go for it.
It's
Is it
more in line with the Christian, I guess, ideology.
Acha, what's the Christian ideology?
I guess that Yusuf was around at the time of Akhenaten. So he was the one who kind of like was the one pulling the strings behind what was actually going on.
Behind, as in he was influencing Akhenaten.
Yes, because
Okay.
there's a period of time where you've got Akhenaten's father, who's actually going around. He's having this religious kind of like phase in his life.
Because they say his father Amenhotep III, isn't it? That
Yes.
it's now some evidence is emerging that he too may have had this influence on Akhenaten, although he wasn't full on. But there were certain teachings that it seems to. I was reading up recently that it seems to now transpire that he may have been influenced by Amenhotep III to some extent as well. This teaching of, favoring the Aten. I don't know if you've come across that part.
Yes, I have. So he would have been the king that was having the dreams, I guess.
Sure.
So
right. Okay. Right.
but
Okay.
Let's backtrack a little. So we've obviously got Abraham, who's coming to Egypt, the Middle East, about 2000 BC.
Sure.
So if you actually look at the pharaohs, I think it's the intermediate period, and suddenly everything starts changing there. So you've got these Semitic people that have come in and have started to rule Egypt.
The Hyksos.
Yeah. Now, I have kind of like a feeling that this has got something to do with Abraham and his people.
The Hyksos people, are you talking about? Is
Yes,
that
that's right?
As in Abraham was with the Hyksos?
Whether he was with them or whether he was from them, it's most likely he was from them, and they were.
Doesn't he precede them by? Doesn't he precede them by several hundred years?
Well, that's if you subscribe to the actual dating of everything. I think everything's a bit wishy-washy on the actual dates.
Sure. I mean, the standard, because I'm not sure which theory you're going by, and it's not a problem. I'm just saying I'm not sure. So the standard kind of theory that people have is that Abraham, they're putting him maybe about 4,000 years ago. And the Hyksos thing is about 3,500, around that kind of time. Obviously, people have moved things back and forth, and even in this theory of Akhenaten, depending on whether it's Mustafa, Professor, what's his name, but or Ahmad Usman, they seem to subscribe to a theory that moves them around slightly. So it changes the chronology of all of these people, as do, like you're mentioning as well, certain Christians as well in their own way, and certain other. I mean, there's a bunch of theories out there. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
So we've got in the Bible, we've got, for instance, Hagar has there's a prophecy about 12 kings. Are you familiar with that?
About 12 kings.
Yeah, or 12 rightly guided rulers that are going to come from Ismail.
Okay, I'm not sure about this. Who are they going to be? For example, the 12.
So they would have been the.
I'll say the 12.
The
12 kings of the first 12 Bani Umayyah caliphs.
So this will be the.
I was going to say that has to be the biggest blag that you back projected it all the way to Abraham.
No, so this would be the 12. That
would have been kings a handsome payout by the Bani Umayyah to whoever forged that.
So this would be the 12 kings leading up to Tutankhamun, I guess. So Akhenaten would have been the last of them.
But I thought you said from Ismail. Oh, right. So Ismail's offsprings are I'm confused because Ismail is in this theory. Ismail is in Egypt.
Well, not necessarily he's in Egypt, but his
Okay.
descendants. I believe that his descendants were the ones that actually formed the 17th dynasty, because you've got all of these Semitic people that are ruling Egypt. Because before that, you had the African or the Hamites, I guess you could call them, that were there before, and then suddenly you have this complete change in rulership, and at some point, for instance, the snake becomes very prominent in the symbology of the snake is very, very important.
Sure.
And obviously, if Abraham did come from Indus Valley civilization, that would kind of like make sense as to why they're promoting the snake, for instance, as a recognition of.
Do you also align with that? Because I feel that obviously Abraham did come from the Indus Valley. Are you aligned with that as well? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
well, all right, you do.
Because you start looking at the seals, for instance, and you start seeing, for instance, the moon. Now, if Abraham was from Indus Valley, then he'd have to have been from one of the royal lineages. So obviously, in the Indus Valley, you've got Surya Vansh, you've got the Chandra Vansh, you've got the other one as well. But so obviously, if he's from the Chandra Vansh, then obviously he's going to be having the moon as his symbol, as their lineage, if you know what I mean.
That's interesting. I've not really looked at that angle from the, like the Surya Vansh and Chandra Vansh kind of thing. But that's interesting, just tying into the, I noticed the sun is the Lord and it isn't, and the moon is and it isn't. And, the verses in the Quran about Abraham dismissing these symbols. I had initially, but that's very interesting. Do send me anything you have on that. I'd like to explore it. I had just looked at it from the perspective, assuming he was like from a Brahmin kind of class and somebody who was like a priest. And he's from like a priestly household and very clued up on astrology and astronomy, of course, as well. And so this is the kind of knowledge he takes with him. But okay, I mean, I don't go into that, but that's interesting as well. So you feel he goes across, because I felt he goes across and there's this meeting of East versus West, kind of this, or not versus, but East and West. And he's then kind of married off to a priestess, Hajar. And Sarah is already a priestess, but with him, she's also from that civilization, but Hajar being Egyptian, and then him going to Mecca and building, the Kaaba, which is then, aligned towards Sohail, Canopus, which is also in the southern hemisphere. According to Hindu tradition, it is Agastya, but according to the Egyptian tradition, it is Osiris. Sohail is, and that's also I found that very, even if it's coincidental, I found it very interesting if it's coincidental.
Well, I wouldn't go about East and West, because the Egyptians at that time, the Semitic people, obviously this is going to kind of like go off track a little, but obviously if you look at the Christian, like how they kind of like to say population or races formed after the flood, you've got the Japheths, which are, I guess, the white people in the northern hemisphere. You've got this Semitic people, which would be the Indians, all the way up to where you've got the Middle East.
This kind of stuff, we don't really need these stories. Today we have science and DNA and genetics, and we can see how the kind of genes diversify, and we can see these
you could definitely see there's a spread from India all the way up to, I guess you could say, Turkey, of that same gene pool, even crossing over into Eastern Europe.
Right. So the Indo-European gene pool is related. The R1, A1, and what that gene is Indo-European, and obviously it varies. But the R1 splitting off. But towards the Middle East, it's not Middle Eastern. So Middle East tend to have their own genetic gene pool, but they usually that's just Indo-European. So the Europeans and in India, they share this commonly, this kind of, but it's not Semitic. So the Semitic is, what is it? Is it the J, the haplogroup? But it's not the
well,
R.
we categorize that now as a specific group, I guess. But previously, going back, you would probably have found that they were the same people.
No, because these are scientific markers. These are actually biological markers showing that these people originate, like the Y chromosome originated from a different clan altogether, different haplogroup. And you can see that these haplogroups are not related. Unless you're going to say they're related 100,000 years ago, obviously, but I mean, in this kind of past, they're not related. So they have entirely different haplogroups. So the Semitic people are not,
but we're kind of like, we're acknowledging that a particular group that we know what their DNA is the Semitic people. But I don't think that we can just give that label to any one particular small group. I think that's a large band of people.
What's the point of all of this, though? I mean, moving forward.
So let's get back to where we were about Akhenaten. So the whole story needs to make sense, for instance. So we've got Yusuf, so we've got to fit him in somewhere. Obviously, it seems like his time was with Akhenaten. Following after his time, obviously you've got a revolt from the priesthood to what Akhenaten and his monotheism was that was being preached at that time. So what exactly happened, and how did these people, a couple of hundred years later, during the time of Moses, how were they enslaved? Was that the event that took place, where the revolt took place, the priesthood got the power again, and that's where they enslaved the people who they would have deemed to be the people of Akhenaten, for instance. And then a couple of centuries later, you've got Moses, who comes when, I think is it Ramses II is in power.
Sure. I mean, if you take that version, then sure.
And then it's his son, Men. I can't remember his name now. I'm sure you've mentioned it a few times before.
Of course.
He's the first person to mention the Israelites in history.
The stela that is mentioned, that mentions Israel. Yes.
And he claims that he's destroyed them, which kind of like seems like a piece of propaganda. And him acknowledging them at that time shows that they have more or less split from Egypt.
Yeah,
and that would have been the Exodus time.
Sure. I mean, look, the whole, I had kind of, I was supposed to complete a lot more reading on this topic, so I had the stuff, and I had obviously began it and got into it, and then I'd been distracted of, the past few months, and not really followed through, which I do, inshallah, intend to now kind of follow through once again and try to at least arrive at some approximation of closure for myself. You see, to me, it was this, that, you see, when you think about it, there are certain question marks that can't be ignored. Those question marks are that there was the only proof, archaeological proof we have of early monotheism taking place in Egypt is generally with Akhenaten. Now, there are obviously these kind of, whether the Shasu people or whatever the Hyksos, these people are there as well, of a loosely kind of Semite origin. They happen to be there as well. And now the theories have changed, that they were not seen now as these invaders, but people that had migrated and seem to have worked their way up to power. So recent evidence now suggests that, you know, with when they've checked the enamel on the teeth and they've measured it up with how so for example, the women folk that were with them were raised in the Middle East and not in Egypt, which showed that as they married women from back home and brought them over, which is not what invaders do. And it's not how invasion doesn't work like that. Like, you don't just invade and then usually invasion works as in they take over and they will kind of mix, like either take women but it doesn't. This seems to reflect a settled community. So, but I mean, fast forwarding on.
So do you think that all these civilizations that were there at the time, like you got the Egyptians, you got Mesopotamians, you got obviously the Indus Valley, you got all of these civilizations, do you think that they were all, I guess, existing in isolation? Or do you think that there was actually a global community?
No, there wasn't a global community in the sense that we understand global community today. The world had kind of pockets.
So you don't think that they were trading?
No, so they were trading. Of course they were trading. Now, so there's a difference between, it's not that they were unaware of the other people. They were aware. So there was an awareness, but there wasn't a sense of community, globally speaking. So it wasn't that the Egyptians wouldn't have felt that the Babylonians were like them. They recognized them as either adversaries or people that were the other, who they may have had treaties with upon occasion. But they, you know, to them, the Egyptian way was the great way, and it was the way. And obviously to Babylon, it would have been them, and to people elsewhere, it would have been them. And so it wasn't that one culture dominated, but certain cultures were elite. So the Egyptians were definitely elite and seen as elite as well. But one of the things I was going to say was, okay, so this was a key question, that Akhenaten was one of the earliest documented monotheists. The other thing is that, you see, things like about Sulaiman alayhi salam and Dawood are very, now, you know, when you look at it, it's problematic, because this vast kingdom that they had, there's zero evidence that it was ever in Jerusalem. And Israel, unlike the Muslim world, has actually invested in archaeology. So you see, the Muslim world seems to be very shy of doing archaeological digs, but Israel, maybe to support its cause or whatever, it's very supportive. And they, in fact, what's his name? I have a book right here, actually, the Forgotten or the Lost Kingdom. But there's several professors who've been doing research, archaeological research, for between 20 to 30 years now, and not a single thing has turned up. Not a single thing. The closest thing they found was on that tell, where there was a slight inscription of just the name David. But there was nothing, like no coins, no artifacts, no anything. And keeping in mind, in every other place they've been found. So like in Midian, they found Midianite kind of stuff. In Egypt, they found. So wherever civilizations have been, if you dig deep enough and you have enough funding, you will find something. It's not that, but the fact that not a single thing survived from such a vast kingdom means it can only mean one, you know, it can only mean a certain number of outcomes. That one, for example, that these people didn't exist. Yeah. Two, it could mean that, okay, maybe they did exist. And I know Finkelstein goes with this, but they were just tiny people that were later exaggerated to be huge. So hence they don't have this residual kingdom. Or three, as Ahmad Usman and Mustafa Gadal and these people hypothesized, that maybe they did exist, but they were in a different location. They were in Egypt, and they were those pharaohs, but that these people just recall them as their great kings. So that's another theory, that they've not found them.
So we've got in the Quran, it mentions about iron being David had the ability to mold iron, for instance. I don't know if you are aware, but one of the finest pieces of iron, I guess, sculpturing is in West Africa, so near Nigeria.
Okay.
And so there seems to be a civilization that existed round about the time of David that was based there.
Where are you placing David? Just 2000?
So,
I mean, are you placing him
3,000
3,000 years ago? Yeah.
So
Okay.
he would have come after Moses, definitely, absolutely. So, and you've got if you look at ancient maps, you've got around
So
that region.
where would you place David? Jerusalem?
What, modern day Jerusalem?
Yeah, like where would you place David?
So I would place him in West Africa.
West Africa. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, that's very.
But not just necessarily just West Africa, but if he had a large kingdom, then you could imagine how it would have kind of like. I guess you could say he covered the whole of the Mediterranean, a bit like the Maghreb. So you got the Maghreb right now, like that whole region from Egypt all the way to West Africa.
The problem with this, once again, is there's not a single archaeological finding to represent that, despite a lot of investment gone into finding it. And so it could be that, yeah, you're right, it could just be people just haven't stumbled upon it, but that is very difficult to believe. It's a very hard sell, because if I said right here in these foundations were great things, now if we've got the money to start digging, and we do dig the whole location and we check and we don't find anything, nothing that indicates that this thing ever existed here. It could be, you're right, that
where are you referring to right now? Are you talking about Jerusalem, or are you talking about Nigeria?
Right, I was talking about because you said it was the Mediterranean as well.
No, I said he possibly, quite possibly, it could have been an empire that stretched.
So okay, but he's based in Nigeria, and
well, you've got ancient maps that refer to that place as Judah. So why are these maps referring to this place as Judah? For instance, you've also got the iron.
This is a totally different theory altogether. You do know.
Well, it's not my theory. It's just where the evidence is leading me. For instance, so when I'm looking at the Quran and it's talking about, because I don't think the Quran mentions anything.
I don't think the Quran leads to anything. On the Quran is just very
him having
it doesn't,
like, for instance, making the connection between iron and King David.
Yeah, but the alanna lahul hadid, that you see iron, that's a very loose thing, because you see it, whether hadid here, for example, generally understood as iron or metal, used for the kind of for protective gear. Now, is this, so for example, this kind of stuff was happening in many civilizations. It's not just, it was happening in Egypt, it was happening in in the Mesopotamian kind of stuff as well. It was happening, like there were incidents of there wasn't obviously one great founder of this how to make this particular, it was obviously a thing that emerged. Now Allah doesn't say we made him discover it. Allah says we made it easy for him to do this, which meant that other people must have also been doing it but struggling with it, and he seemed to have a natural knack for it. But yeah, okay, I mean, fair enough. It's a different theory, obviously we'll have to explore it. On that note, somebody shared with me, they said they watched my thing on Akhenaten and Moses and the parallels, and they said it's interesting that how Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, the Sufi sheikh, he explains in a vision that he has this vision at the Kaaba, that he sees three prophets, Prophet Moses and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I think Jesus, and they kind of hand him something. But he says it's interesting that Moses hands him the sun disk. And he said that, you know, not that he ever thought anything of it, but when he watched my thing, and obviously Akhenaten and the Sun Disk, he said, well, that's just very. He just thought, wow, okay, as a. Not that this is proof, but it's just an interesting, you know, fact or interesting point. Sorry, and he just mentioned it. But cool, Darth Vader. That's been some epic, you know, new mind stretching. It's all about stretching that mind. So shukran for sharing.
You can have ideas, and by the way, I just wanted to say something to you as well on a personal note.
Sure,
your video on the age of Aisha, man. That touched me because that opened up a whole can of worms for me. I always struggled with this hadith absolutism.
Yeah.
And it's just got too many holes in it for me, for instance, and there's too much blind faith, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
And accepting it. So you kind of like inspired me to look into it. So I've been doing research on that, and I've kind of like found a lot of stuff that what you're saying is absolutely spot on. There's no way she was 6 or 9. She was, if at the very least, she was 19. And obviously there's loads of evidence to support that. So you've inspired me to make a little video for that. So watch this space.
Oh, absolutely, man. Share any of the stuff you have. Share it with me. You know, I'm always keen to see what other people are doing. So, but yeah, shukran. I appreciate your kind words, man. And I think it's a duty, to be honest, upon Muslims to defend the honor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam against these kind of insolent absurdities that people are doing, in a sense of what I call a reactionary bravado. But
well, the world goes mad, for instance, over a few caricatures, right? We want to boycott nations and all that kind of stuff. But you accuse the Prophet of being a pedophile, and you're supporting it, and you're admitting that yourself, and that's not dishonoring the Prophet. I don't get people's logic here. I seriously don't get people's logic.
And even, you know, it's not even even from a very common sense approach to this whole discourse, just looking at it just from a common sense, not even looking at all these discussions and everything, this notion that at the time in Am al-Huzn, when the Prophet is left, you know, he's Khadija radiallahu anha has passed, and his uncle, his social security, this kind of protection has passed, and he's having a very difficult time in this, and he's got children, young children at home, and there's the prophethood mission, there's work, you know, livelihood, providing, trading. There's the struggle about now he's going to get victimized by people who were first afraid of Abu Talib, but now Abu Talib isn't there. That in this time, the Prophet would say, I know, let's go and bring home a 6-year-old. I mean, this doesn't even, it's like, that's, it's so absurd that this, you know, just from that perspective alone, it would be so stupid to even suggest.
Well, one of the justifications they have is, oh, because she was young, it's in God's wisdom, right? Because she's only ever known him. So she's kind of like grown up with all of this, you know, I guess pure Islam, because she's only known the right path. But the thing is, how long was she married to the Prophet? What, 8 years, 10 years, 9 years? So if she was 6, he died when she was 16 or 19.
So according to this, it would have been the nikah 3 years and then the 10 years in Medina. So 13 years with the Prophet. But you see, you know, this thing of saying that she only ever knew the Prophet, that wasn't, they used that, in my understanding, they used that more so not from the angle of knowledge, because 10 years is enough knowledge. Like, you know, the fact that she was with the Prophet during the entire Medinan phase is enough, just as the otherwise were less, but they still are huge as well.
10 years when you're 20 and 10 years when you're 9, there's a big difference of your understanding of what's going on.
The angle they're trying to come from is the chastity angle, not the knowledge. So when they say she only ever knew him, she only ever knew him as a man, as in
I'm
she
referring to the wisdom of Allah for allowing her to get married young so she could carry the knowledge forward for the next generation, for instance.
yeah, I
That
think
it seems.
I think that's
How is a 9-year-old going to
total
understand
blag.
what's going on?
That's a total blag. But I think when the scholars say that, they usually implying that she knew him from a chastity perspective, that she never knew any other man apart from the Prophet, and hence they've pushed her age so far down, and this was to tackle the kind of claims that were being hurled against her later on in the Tabi'een era. So yeah, and I have said that how it's really Hisham who is manufacturing these hadith, and he's doing it. It's not I don't know. It's not about evil or whatever. He's doing it to legitimize several things. One of them is to tackle the Shia rhetoric against Aisha at the time, and also to kind of further consolidate the Zubayrid his historical narrative, which the Abbasids needed, because the Abbasids couldn't go with the Umayyad and they couldn't go with the Alid, the Fatimid. They needed a neutral historic narrative, and that neutral thing they found in Zubayr, because he was Sunni, but he was and he ruled, and he had he had a huge following. So his version, his narrative, or this lineage that's coming down, this discourse, it was one that would sell for the Abbasids. So, and from him, you've got obviously Urwa and then Hisham, and hence Mansur always has a very tight bond with Hisham. He sponsors him, he gives him, huge financial backing, and in fact, even prays his janazah when he passes away. He invites him to Baghdad.
Isn't there reports that he was born after she died anyway? So how did he learn of her?
Who are we talking about?
Hisham.
Yeah, no, he hasn't met her, Aisha.
But doesn't he claim to have taken?
No, he takes it through Urwa, through Aisha, and he doesn't actually take much from Urwa either, because his father, he only heard a few things from his father as a child, and then his father's not around. So he, a lot of the things he says an Abi, from my father, from Urwa, are things he's heard from other people saying Urwa has said this. So there's that thing. But I think it's not just, and this age, 6 and 9, I think he went with that age because there was a floating narrative in the Middle East, especially that kind of Iraqi region, with the old Zoroastrian customs. So there was a custom, and there's been some research on it. I did try to reach out to the researcher. She's German, but then obviously all this Corona happened, and I didn't really hear back from her. But she's done a lot of research into Zoroastrian. She's translated thousands of documents from, or pages of documents from old, Zoroastrian traditions. And she's come up with a lot of things and found parallels that carried on in the Islamic. But what's interesting is she focuses on marriages, and the Zoroastrians had like 4 or 5 different marriage templates. And they were popular, and some of them were incestuous. They would marry their sisters and so on. But one of them was that a person would marry a girl at the age of 6 and would then take her to a temple, and he would leave her in the temple for 3 years, and she would learn whatever the rituals and have this chastity. And at the age of 9, she would leave the temple, and he would then collect her as a wife. Now this narrative, you see, even though these people embraced, for the most part, a lot of them embraced Islam, and some of them didn't, but this narrative was still free floating. And I think that's what, in the backdrop, Hisham kind of leans in on when he takes this 6 and 9 approach. But this is obviously just detective work. I'm not saying but it's food for thought. It's very interesting. Darth Vader, it's been epic catching up with you. Right. So shukran for sharing that with us. Dearly appreciated.
No problem. And you mentioned Zoroastrians. I came across Harut and Marut being from them. So maybe you can shed some light on that sometime. But
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I do have something on it already, but sure, I'll look into that.
okay,
Cool, man. Take care. Stay blessed.
you
Much
too.
love. Right.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. All right, people. That was Darth Vader doing it. A lot of different discussions there. Right. So, all right. What is going on? Mufti. All right, people. Let's bring on some other people. I know there's a lot of people waiting, so let's try and keep it reasonably swift. So, all right, Dervish Johnson. Assalamu alaikum, Dervish. You're mute. All right. Speak the haq or stay silent.
¿Cómo estás, cabrón?
Muy bien. Órale, Dervish. ¿Qué tal? What's going down? Bas, maze man, lillahi alhamd. So what's going on, man? Where are you joining us from today?
Arizona. Yeah, Arizona.
Arizona. Orale, way. Orale. Arizona people. So talk to us, man. What's going on, Dervish?
We gotta translate your lectures to Spanish. We know that we work.
Please, yeah. You see, send me the instructions. Last I checked, YouTube has stopped that feature, and I don't know what. But if you discover something, send it to me. I'm very keen on having that out there in Spanish subtitles. All right, you can drop in all the pinche pendejos and all this kind of.
We can do that. Definitely in Latin America, a scholar like you, it can shed some light, because they're at the mercy of a lot of Salafi, very rigid thought, and there's a lot of brothers and sisters in Latin America turning to Islam, alhamdulillah, but at the same time, they're leaving too.
You lived in Latin America, didn't you?
I used to. I'm Argentinian by
Argentina.
I was born in Argentina, but I emigrated to America in 2001. So I've been in America for almost 20 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But anyway, I mean,
no, I agree with you, because I think it's amazing that there's a huge world, Latin America, which is really and it's a shame it's untapped from a Dini perspective, a religious perspective, Islamic perspective, and the Islamic perception that they do have of Islam is one of like ISIS and Taliban and that kind of. It's a very horrid perception that they kind of see it as people who are misogynist, and I don't know. This is the impression I get from some of the TV.
Yes, very much. The Wahhabis have a lot of money over there, and I think Urtugul shed some light to a lot of people are caught up in the Ottoman romanticism, so they kind of open another door in there. But yeah, definitely, you're right. So, but it's most of it Salafi masjids. There's very rigid, dogmatic. Some Sufis, that's I'm more connected with it. But I mean, something your lectures will be very beneficial for a lot of brothers and sisters over there. They're trying to cope with the new lifestyle. The religion, just make it easy on them. You know what I mean?
And the interesting thing is that they are some parts more than others, but they are a people that are still deeply rooted in faith. And unfortunately, a lot of faith with them has also been riddled with superstition. There's a lot of like whenever I watch, especially the Mexican stuff, and there's a lot of superstition, so much, and I feel that something like there's also a lot of yaqeen and aqidah and iman
Yes.
They're not like an atheist. You know, like how you have Europe, which is very kind of not so attached with God, but they're very attached with, you know, the earth
Yes.
and the whole thing. So I feel that a people like that, Islam would be such a, you know, breath of fresh air, that it would have the aqidah, the iman, the yaqeen, but just if it could rid the superstition and free people from these kind of, you know, bad luck and this, because there's a lot of this,
Yeah.
oh my God, bad luck and this is going to happen, it's bad luck. And
Yeah. I live in
No.
Mexico pretty much. I mean, all my neighbors
Oh,
are Mexican
okay.
pretty much, so I'm very familiar. You know,
Oh,
Arizona,
wow.
pretty much Mexico. I mean, I'm like,
Is
in,
yeah, wow.
it
All
just
right.
the idols. It kind of gets in the middle of the spirituality, you know, and the Catholicism. They have all this. We know, you know, all this. They struggle with that. It's hard for them to convert to Islam because it's, you know, their families are Catholic, so it's like it's a big change for them, you know.
And I think sometimes the you see, it's not only a change, but the Salafi Islam is too incompatible with that way of seeing the world. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's this uber black and white, hard lines and imposed upon, and I think it's a kill. You know,
Yeah.
it just kills the whole thing. It's like a, maybe some people will adjust and others will snap. It's not
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the days are. It's changing. It's changing. I mean, like scholar like a lot of Malikis, and you know, even you know the teachings of. You know, you can disagree with Al Ghazali or even
No, of
Ibn.
course, no. I appreciate all these things, and even if I disagree on certain points, sometimes I still think these are great figures to, you know, to illuminate people with and to allow them to benefit from. So, yeah, man, absolutely. Darvesh, you're doing it. You're doing it. That's it. You're spreading this light amongst, you know, what is it? Amongst Mexico. All right. Viva Mexico, cabrones.
We're gonna be next to the city, inshallah, one day, and we take you. I have one question for you. I know you've been for hours here. You know, when it comes to creation and the nature of Allah,
Yeah.
you know, you have the Salafi view. You know, the creation is separated from Allah. But when we talk about more into the Ibn Arabi or more in that way, it's more like the consciousness that you talk about all the time, that mother consciousness. It's one. It's not you know, it's not separated from, you know, we think of Allah in our heads, and we think the consciousness is only limited to our mind. But when we say Allah, when you every place you turn is a face of Allah. That's what we kind of I'm getting out of. Like it's this consciousness, all you know, hovering us. It involves everything. That's when I say creation, in a way, is not separated from Allah. And you know, the teachings of we were talking about Salafis, they talk like Allah is something separated. What's your take on that?
Like I've said that, you know, in recent years, in the last maybe 2 years, I've really stumbled upon this path of consciousness. And you know, if you watch my things which are prior to 2 years, I don't speak about this, and I had a very different approach. Whereas maybe the last 2 years at most, I've been just under 2 years, I've got very drawn to this understanding of consciousness. And I do feel that now, looking at things, I do feel that, you know, the verses of the Quran in certain things are speaking about that, like Allah saying that ruhana, our ruh was blown into Adam, that this thing was talking about consciousness. And look, with consciousness, everybody's gonna have, it's a theory, obviously. I don't know, but my kind of theory is that there is a collective consciousness, which is like almost like a social network of consciousnesses, but that maybe ties into a consciousness stream which is connected to God. So when I'm saying there's a social network of consciousnesses, I feel that there is at a lower level a difference. So hence people are connected, like they feel, like in the hadith when it says al-arwah junudun mujannada, that they are connected, these arwah. But I don't look, these are theories I'm learning. I'm not obviously I don't know, but this really has resonated with me in the last 1.5, 2 years. And I have felt that this is really going, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel that this is going to be the future.
Oh, you're not.
Because I feel that, this is what is going to take people back to God. It is going to be this thing. And it was always there, just hidden in plain sight. We just never noticed it.
Well,
And
Allah says, right, that He's going to be right in front of your faces. I mean, the true Villa is in front of your face. And that's what is happening. And Allah doesn't live in our consciousness. We live in Allah's consciousness. You know what I mean? So we are Allah's dream. But, Allah knows best. I'm just in the path of, like a dervish. So
that's it, man. That's the best way to be, Darvish. Darvish, epic, man. Much love for sharing your thoughts with us. Take care. Stay blessed. Gracias, man. All right, nos vemos. All right, people. That was Dervish. All right, all the way from Arizona. Doing it, people. I know there's a lot of people waiting. I just got something in Mufti's Aqidah is a theory. You see, Aqidah, there's a difference between Aqidah and Iman. Aqidah and Iman. There's a difference, people. Aqidah is like this kind of stuff, like theology, trying to understand it. Iman is just having faith in God. So faith is not a theory. That's faith. That's Iman. Aqidah is this, like, okay, let's try. How does it work then? What are the cogs and the behind this? That's Allah never explained that. So that's just a theory. People, you're doing it. Let me add some people. What's going on? What's going on? People, this is going to be launched very soon. Maybe, hopefully, inshallah, by Monday. The server on Discord, Malm's Mindscape. That's what I'm talking about, people. Mindscape, it says, I gotta correct that. Mindscape, people, Mindscape. Right, let's get this off. What's going on? So who can I see here to add? Ahmed Shuaib, you're doing it, Ahmed Shuaib. Let's add Ahmed Shuaib. Assalamu alaikum. The young Ghamidi Saab himself.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Ahmed Shuaib.
1 sec.
Ahmed, it
Hello?
looks like, yep, it
Can you
looks
hear me
like we can hear you loud and clear, crystal clear. It looks like you're wearing a wig.
Oh.
What's going on, Ahmed, man? Talk to us.
Oh, Mufti, what's going on? You tell me what's going on.
Just the usual fitan facade. Just spreading the love.
Good.
Yeah,
you know, last time in your Monday night, you brought up that Aaaarrriiite Saqi. And since then, I've been like looking at Arabic songs, and I've been trying to see them, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, did you like the one I'd put on today?
I actually heard that one earlier today as well, and I was looking at it.
This was it, man. It was right here. This. Allah. Right, so look at that. I'm getting the hang of StreamYards, people. All right. This is proper fun now that I'm understanding how to add videos. Right, what I need is I need an overlay it for the back, I guess, and it's saying, the backdrop saying Mufti's Meetup. People, who's on it? People, reach out to me. Who's on it?
Mufti, I actually saw another one of your videos, like quite old, and
Oh, one of the good videos.
yeah, it was
I thought
halal.
I destroyed all the. I thought I destroyed all the other kind of videos, but TK. Okay. Yeah, talk
It
to me.
was to do with the Sautu Safir al Bulbuli, and
Yeah, so
I'm actually learning Arabic, but that's one poem that I haven't understood at all, and it's one poem that I couldn't find the translation of anywhere online.
That's it. أقول في مطلعها صوت صفير البلبل. Allah, Allah. I've got that poem is, purposively very difficult, and that's the whole purpose behind it, that you hear it and you're like, what the hell has he even said? You've got to watch you have watched it, the on YouTube, Asma'i, because it's Asma'i's poem, Arabic poem. But I did learn it. I'd heard of that story for many years, but I never learnt the poem, and because obviously it's just a very awkward Arabic poem. But I was doing a speech, and believe it or not, that wasn't in my speech. I was doing a speech for a charity event, and I'd kind of thought they told me, look, can you speak on some topic? I can't remember now, something about like legacy or something. And I had kind of in my mind, I had the speech. It was already, like I knew what I was going to talk about. And it was just one day before. So today afternoon, I can't remember. I was just going across something and it came up, this Sautu Safir al Bulbuli poem. And I heard it and I thought, wow, that's actually, and then I thought, you know what? I tell you what, let's learn this and incorporate it in tomorrow's speech. So I just learned that the day before. I just kind of went over it, and I had to first of all get it and understand it, because it's got a lot of awkward Arabic in it as well. It's not normal words. So I kind of found it and I've read it and checked up the meaning, and then I just kind of went over it, and surprisingly, it's not that difficult to memorize once you kind of just go over it a couple of times. Yeah.
And so the Ayyuha Saqi poem, I found another version of it. I'm not sure who it's written by, but it was like Ayyuha Saqi ilayka al-mushtaka.
It's the actual one. قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمعي.
Yeah.
قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمعي. Allah. That's the actual one. That's the actual.
Right.
The other one that I played was it was a variant. But the popular one is this one from the Muwashahat of Al-Andalus, is Ya Saqi إليك المشتقى إليك المشتكى قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمعي. Yeah, so that's the, I believe, I'm pretty sure that's also Ibn Zahar's, but it is, isn't it? Yeah, so these are amazing, man. I totally love this stuff. Yeah.
I actually came with a topic prepared today to ask you about.
Oh, Toba. Quick, disconnect. We can't hear you. Ahmed, what's going on? Now what's going on?
I watched your Mind Trap with Abdul Majid, the Mufti Sahab, because not all of it. I don't have itna villa time.
Dr. Abdul Majid.
The
Bukhari Gate one, because I had another Majid on Dr. Majid.
Bukhari Gate, yeah. I watched both actually, but
Kya baat hai, Ahmed, kya baat hai.
So you talked about the huruf muaqqatat, right? So the broken letters in some of the surahs. So you were talking about noon and how noon, you said it doesn't mean whale, right? So I wanted to talk about you. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard of Imam Farahi, right? Hamiduddin Farahi. So so he had the theory that these words, it's like the Chinese alphabet. So you know how in Chinese the letters, they actually symbolize like pictures of animals or like other things like that. So
pictograph.
Pictograph, yeah. So there's this guy called Adnan Ijaz, right? He did some research on this, and he found he got all of the words, and basically he saw that in Hebrew, these words, he found the pictographs in Hebrew, right? So for alif, like in alif lam mim, he found that alif, I have it in front of you, alif means an ox, so like something powerful. He's drawn the picture here to show how it meant ox. Now, obviously, I can't show it to you here. So and that lam was like the staff of a shepherd, and that meme was from, it's written like, you know, it's written squiggly, so it's like ma, it means water. So alif lam meme, alif lam together means like a mighty shepherd, right? And meme, water, means a purifying water. So alif lam meme, God the mighty shepherd, his purifying water. And ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, that the Quran is this. And so I was wondering, what were your thoughts on that? Because obviously he would think that noon, the Arabs, they use it to mean hut, to mean fish. So he would say that this is how we can interpret them. And if we don't find their meaning, it doesn't matter, because they're just names of the surahs anyway. That's what he says.
I don't understand the angle that. So what are you trying to, you're trying to say that, look, these letters, alif lam mim, you know, qaf and taha and these kind of things had you know, things from the Paleo Hebrew or the Phoenician script, that kind of stuff. It was representing that, it was repping that kind of interpretation for people.
Yeah,
but
so
how is that tying in with what the Bukhari Gate discussion? I don't get that.
It's not to do with Bukhari Gate. It's just that you discussed that one topic in Bukhari Gate about noon. It was just about that basically. So yeah.
You see, because the noon discussion we were having was a bit different. We weren't talking about the huruf al-muqatta'at. We were talking more so about he was trying to say not noon as the letter, but noon wow noon, like as in that, I suppose it's the letter but spelt out. Like if you were to say H, but you're spelling it H-A-Y, you know, C-H, like the actual spelling. Now, he was saying that this meant fish in Arabic. And I was highlighting to him that it doesn't actually mean fish, but that is a kind of Islamic interpretative understanding of a particular verse. So when it mentions Yunus alayhi salam and he's called Dhun-Nun, the one of Noon, now people weren't sure why did Allah refer to him as the one of the Noon. So here some people said, oh well, maybe Noon in Aramaic or Noon in this meant fish, and therefore this is why it's called Dhun-Nun. Now from that, one may understand that, okay, in, let's just say, if you went with that, let's say that was true, that is the case, let's say, that doesn't mean that people in everyday speak start calling fish noon. Like they don't, like they call fish fish, they call it samak. So that was my point, that here you're saying Abu Darda is having a normal conversation with people, but he's using code words for, like, instead of fish, he's saying, you know, the noons. And why don't you? So my point was, this is preposterous, and it's clearly a typo. But that was my kind of angle. But how are you linking that in with this, or you're not linking it in with this discussion?
I'm not linking it in with any Bukhari Gate thing. I'm just as a separate topic. I was referring
You're just
to
saying that. What do I think of this? The muqatta'at, alif lam mim ra, these kind of alif lam ra, these kind of things indicate, being indicative of pre, you know, proto languages. Sorry, not proto language, but proto scripts, like the Phoenician script, and also, which is arguably, some people say the Phoenician script is the Paleo Hebrew. Sorry, the Paleo Hebrew script is the Phoenician script. You know, historians argue, but I mean, okay, I find it interesting. I mean, you know, it could be, but do I think it was categorically? I don't think categorically it would be, because I don't think people would have known the Paleo Hebrew scripts in Arabia or the Phoenician scripts. I don't think people would have known that. So I don't see the point in doing that. But okay, I mean, all we do know is it's kind of mysterious.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. It doesn't matter if this theory is wrong. It's just something of interest.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. No, that's fine. That's fine. I think that's good.
So
Ahmed, you're doing it.
hmm,
Right. So,
okay.
anything else to add, or is there another theory that you were
I mean, I
brewing?
wanted to share a poem, but it's quite long, so I don't know if I should.
Are there some epic lines from the poem? You want to share some epic couplets from the?
Okay,
Is there
so I'll share
the line?
the first like part, right? So it's in Urdu, right? So it's भूला मैं तेरा मेरा निशान साया
Okay.
जो तुझसे जुड़ा है मुझसे जुदा ए खुदा गर
Okay.
शिकवा है गुनाह करके
Wow.
हो गया मैं फना.
Wow, very spiritual, religious poetry.
Mm,
I like it. Not my kind of. The usual poetry that I will look at is people like John Elia and the great Urdu, Mir Taqi Mir Saab, Ghalib, and I look at all the corrupt people. This is nice, clean, pious poetry. Allah, Allah. See, Ahmed, you're doing it. You're going somewhere. I can tell you're going
inshallah.
somewhere. How
I
are the
was
lessons? Hamdi Saab?
Alhamdulillah, they're going well. I'm actually in a lesson right now, and I'm I'm doing this as well at the same time. So
Chalo, well, extend our love and salams to the Sheikh. And cool. We'll catch up with
great.
some of the other people. Yeah, take care of yourself,
Salam.
Ahmed. Right, salamu alaikum. People, that was Ahmed Shuaib right there. Doing it. Look at that. At such a young age, so much talent. You can tell that this is going to, he's going to make huge strides, people, huge strides. Someone share the link here. I'll share the link here. I'll share the link, God damn it. After all, it is Valentine's. In the words of Hazrat John Elia, कि हमको सनम ने खार किया वरना खुदा अच्छा ही था. He says, if it wasn't for this love that has ruined him, he says he was actually better off with God. He's like, shall I choose between God or obey? And then he was like, you know what? I made a mistake. I should have stuck with God. हमको सनम ने खार किया वरना खुदा अच्छा ही था. So, people, what is going on? We've got Sami al-Imam. All right, let's bring him on, people.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. What is going on?
I'm doing great. Happy Valentine's Day, Mufti.
Likewise, yeah. Likewise. You people are my Valentines. Where are you joining us from, Sami?
From Canada, actually, Toronto area.
Look at this. Canada is a blessed place, man. So many people from, we're going to have to soon start calling it Canada Sharif. There's like so many awesome people connecting from Canada. Allah, Allah.
How have you been?
I've been good, man. So you tell us, you talk to us, man. What's happening?
All right, so I have a couple questions here, but I mean, I'm gonna choose like the most like a more of a fiqh question.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people talk about how you're not allowed to have Muslim friends. So where should I draw the line in terms of how close I can keep
friends? You're not allowed.
Non-Muslim.
Non-Muslim friends.
Yeah. So where should I draw the line in terms of like keeping non-Muslim friends kind of thing?
Draw it about the drawing the line. Draw the line. Oh, you meant drawing, not doing lines. Right, so Sami al-Imam, right? So non-Muslim friend. This is the most dumbest thing. I was going to cover this, that I watched a clip. Somebody sent me a clip. I was going to cover it on Monday nights, and I will cover it. It was about Asim al-Hakim, the wise. Asim the wise.
Yeah.
Who's anything but wise.
Stuff to say.
And so there was a clip of his where he's asked by some person that their best friend or a very good friend is a Hindu or something like this, and can he make dua for him, or can he do this? And then he responds by saying, look, non-Muslims can be acquaintances, colleagues, things like this, but they can never be real friends. They can never be your friends. And if they're your friends, then you've got a problem with your iman. This is so dumb, that it's so stupid and so dumb. But this is the problem with some of that, that kind of virus that is kind of being promulgated and propagated, especially through this hardline da'wah, which is mainly Salafi, but sometimes even other groups jump onto this bandwagon of this Muslim exclusivity, that we are meant to rule the world. We are meant to, non-Muslims are kind of like they're almost like subspecies to us. They are, you never really, like, sure, you can be kind to them, but you never really meant to take them as your close friends or be on a level with them. And this is poison, toxic thought. And this kind of ideology, it's radioactive, it's cancerous, and it needs to be clearly cut out. Like, a person needs to tear this out, and so the body can grow and heal in a healthy way. This toxic thought, man, it's absolutely dangerous. Yeah. But it's the answer obviously is obvious, that of course this is nonsense. Of course you can have Allah says in the Quran that, look, ya ayyuhan nas, we created you like this and this and made you shu'uban wa qaba'il lita'arafu. He doesn't say ya ayyuhal mu'minun, that it's nas, that people, we made you like this so you can be and in the Quran Allah says about marriages, you can marry women of the book. So for example, you can interfaith marriages, and Allah says that He created your partners litaskunu ilayha wa ja'ala bainakum mawadda, and He placed love between you two. How can you have a non-Muslim partner, spouse, and have love and not be, like, this doesn't make any sense. The Quran is saying that, you're meant to have muwadda, love, and all this tranquility and all this harmony, and yet these people say, you can't even be friends. You have to be pretend friends, or pretend.
I like you, it's like
yeah, this is a disease primarily of Wahhabi ideology, but some other sects have got kind of infected with it, but it's primarily a Wahhabi thing about al-wala wal-bara. This al-wala wal-bara is like basically colon cancer.
Yeah. Is it like that hadith da'if too?
Oh yeah, I mean there is no al-wala wal-bara. This is just a Wahhabi thing. There is no al-wala. Al-wala wal-bara is, for those of you that don't know, it's basically, al-wala is about your allegiance, and you're saying my allegiance is to Allah and His Messenger only. And bara is that you're declaring yourself free from, like you're cutting off, severing any true faithful allegiance to. So like bara'a, like as in Surah Tawbah, bara'atun min Allahi wa Rasuli. So al-bara. So they're saying we do bara from all kuffar and deviants and all this kind of stuff, mushriks, and so al-wala wal-bara. And this is just purely a Wahhabi thing. This is not a, you show me anybody classically talking like this, al-wala wal-bara. This is just pure Najdi propaganda. And it's their way, because it was important for them to kind of recruit people on that, that manhaj, this methodology, so we can go out there and take rule. And I encourage people, watch on YouTube, watch some small, you get these small documentaries about the Wahhabi movement and its rise, like how in fact, if you look into how the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was made, you will see that it's all about the Wahhabis and aligning with this family that then become Al Saud. And then you've got Al Sheikh. And it's actually very interesting. There's several documentaries on YouTube. They're very short, but it gives you a history of, okay, this is how power was taken and formed. So yeah, this al-wala wal-bara it's colon cancer, man. It's not, it's not only a pain in the butt, but it's gonna terminate your spiritual life. So yeah, people, yeah, that's so take some words for you to take away. Was there something else as well? Anything else you want to bounce?
It's a little related. What do you say about like the dia of the non-Muslims being that less of that than the Muslim? Is that a true thing?
The D.
Dia. Like blood money.
I thought you were saying, the D of non-Muslims is Muslims D is a bit less than. I'm thinking, okay, is this? Are we talking? I mean, okay, I'll accept on the foreskin part, but but I don't think it's fair to say the entire D. This one not nice, my friend. So the dia, yes, dia, yes. This is, you know what it is. This whole thing is if real talk, it's just this whole thing that the way it's presented is nonsense, garbage, and if I'm going to be honest, it's just trash. Yeah, it is a disservice to Islam. It is a disservice to the Prophet and disservice to the Deen of Allah that people, they continue to push this ideology. And even I've got a clip as well. It's in I've got a video. It's an old one, or I think it's about 1-2 years old. It's a reply to, I think, is it Shahid Ali, Molvi Shahid Ali or something. But I think I've done about 2 or 3 to him, but there's one where I speak about the blood money. Mm-hmm. Because people have non-Muslims. They've obviously completely battered them. Mm-hmm. In this, they've kind of robbed them of human rights. And then women. They say women only deserve half the blood money.
I've also heard that too. That was like more pressing for me.
And they say even Muslim women, they were talking about Muslim women, not like non-Muslim. They say that women deserve half the blood money of men, and that is preposterous. I mean, it's ridiculous. There is not a single Sahih hadith to support this. And the funny thing is that if you look at the Quran and the actual hadith which are Sahih, the Quran saying that, look, that mu'minun, that you are just ba'dukum min ba'd, you are like some of like the rest. And if you look at the hadith, it says, it mentions that believers tatakafa dima'uhum, that their blood is on a par. It's on one level. This is how, meaning they are as equal as each other. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the hadith, this same hadith, وَيَسْعَى بِذِمَّتِهِمْ أَدْنَاهُمْ, that even you could take anybody, even if you saw them as a lower person in society, let's say that's how you saw them, their vouching is as equal as the elite. It's like, if they vouch security or something, they gave that to someone, that it has to be honored by everyone. And yet, just because in the past Muslims just went with it because of their culture. Look, I'm not, even great imams just fell victim to the culture. But I did note in my video how Imam Malik transmits the other hadith, and shows that, look, people are, because the hadith says, innaman nisa shaqa'iqur rijal, that women are just the counter halves of men. So I said that there's no single Sahih hadith. You've based this on da'if hadith, and you're saying that women only, like if somebody was to accidentally kill someone, let's say manslaughter, accidental death, that if it was a woman, the compensation would be half of if it was a man. That's just preposterous.
Yeah.
It's utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And then this thing of non-Muslims as well. Look, all of this nonsense is simply medieval kind of perspectives of the world. That, you know, in that day and age, they valued, let's say, a man because he was earning money and bringing, you know, he was farming and he was doing these things. So they saw as, okay, fair enough. You know, this was how they saw the world. I'm not judging them. They lived in a different day and age. And in their day and age, they were basing this on utility. And they saw that men were bringing more utility to the household. So if a man was to die, the household suffered more. So they gave this, so they changed the rulings to make sense of their world.
Okay.
And they saw the kuffar as the utter enemy.
Mhm.
We did not live amongst them because the world was clearly demarcated. You had Muslim lands and you had non-Muslim lands. And they were only, you know, it's like some Muslims in the past said the only time we ever met kuffar was on a battlefield. Like, you see, to them, it was the hostile other. So they're like, well, we're not going to give them. You know, it's that hostile, that hostility, that kind of ideology, which, but look, that world doesn't exist now. We have to look at things based on the principles of the Quran. And
Yeah.
so this is garbage. It is nonsense. I, you know, urge people not to be promoting this kind of fatwa just because certain scholars who, even if they were great scholars, they said this just because they lived in the medieval age and that's how they saw the world. Yeah.
So like, do you think in the future that like more forward thinking like ulama are going to come about with a stronger like voice of reason and a stronger grasp on ethics? Is good, like,
yeah, I feel that. Look, I've said before that, you know how scholars in the past were the kind of physicians and the doctors of fiqh. This is how they were. The real, like the number ulama generally were the fuqaha. This is how it was. They were like the, I don't know, 70%, 80% of the margin of scholars were fuqaha.
mhm,
I've said that in this day and age, that focus needs to be ethics.
mhm,
And I feel that there are certain voices that are emerging, that are trying, but it's going to take maybe a few generations. It's like stuff I say. I think that maybe, you know, obviously people like that would really take this forward are probably still very young right now,
mhm.
you know, and it's going to be, you know, these youngsters that as they grow old, that they will probably think, you know, oh yeah, you know, apart from just laughing all the time and looking insane, maybe some of the messages that Mufti Abul Layth was saying, that now they make a lot of sense. And so like that, there's other people, you know, there's Sheikh Adnan Ibrahim and there's Allama Javed Ghamdi Saab, and there are a few people that are trying to speak the voice of reason. But yeah, but shukran for that, Sami. I, you know, it's good that we got that discussion out there. I appreciate it. Right. So stay in touch, man. Take care. And
Salam Mufti. It was great talking to you. You've
likewise,
been a great help for me.
shukran. Most welcome, man. Have an awesome Valentine. Hey, haram.
Toba.
Toba. People, that was Sami' al-Imam. Look at that, people. Look at that. So, right, let's see what is going on. What is going on? Chai Guevara saying, if you want to see how dangerous Salafism is, watch Star Wars Episode 3 and how Anakin fell to the dark side. I've not really watched Star Wars, so Boto says, Bimba says, someone disagreed with one of his scientific opinions that he should be killed. Hiya, Bimbas. Cuss, man. What a name. It's Bimbas. All right. This is Bimbas. This is DJ Bimbas in the house. You know, honestly, Sheikh Bimbas and these people, you know, like, in a way, I don't blame them. Honestly, in a way, honestly don't blame them. I blame the fools that follow them. I mean, these guys, Bimbas, you know, a lot of this kind of ilk, they're just Bedouins, you know. And Bimbas, Bechara, you know, he's passed away. May Allah, you know, have mercy on him and anyone who's passed away. But Bechara was blind. You know, he was blind. He was a blind person. He couldn't see the world. He couldn't. And he's giving fatwa left, right, and center, and you know, and thereby rendering the rest of the world blind. You've been Baz. You're doing it. You're doing it. He's like, just because I'm in darkness, I'm going to make sure everybody's in darkness. But so I don't blame him. I blame the people that follow him despite having sight and insight. How can, you know, what are you doing following such a stupid opinion? And I'm not saying everything Sheikh bin Baz said was stupid. Of course not. Of course not. Look, these people were learned people. I'm not saying that they uneducated. They weren't uneducated. They obviously had studied, but they were Bedouin. You know, like they're the kind of people that grew up with camels and lived with camels all their lives, and they could probably name you 500 different species of camels, or 50 species at least, I don't know, or you know, different, not species, sorry, but you know, different types of camels, and they could probably tell you, I don't know, 10 different names for what to call camel dung and stuff like this. But they wouldn't have a clue on atoms and quantum physics, or on how advanced technology works in the world, or on how even advanced countries of the world operate. They wouldn't have a developed understanding of whether it's going to be molecular biology, or speaking on astrophysics, or even mathematics to an advanced level. They wouldn't have an idea on how psychology has developed, or even anthropology, or having looked at source criticism, or they're not from this world, or this world that we are a part of. They were Bedouins, yeah, grew up in a desert, but they studied Islam. You know, they studied the Islamic books, and they lived with, you know, in a desert, and then they became sheikhs. But you know, and then they start guiding people, obviously. And look, sure, you know, every person wants more power. So he's going to be happy that, yeah, I want people in America to follow me. But obviously, are the people in America stupid? And this is where there's some level of responsibility upon them to think that, you know, you know, so I'm following this guy who, you know, like he's not even, he wouldn't even understand how DNA works. I mean, do I really want to be asking this person about the crypto exchange? This person just knows how to, you know, he knows bartering with animals and things like this. I mean, I'm not trying to disparage them for being dumb. What I'm saying is they are from a particular environment, and for their environment, they're fine. You know, for other Bedouins that are coming to them, that's what they need. The Bedouins that come to them also are desert dwellers. They know that, look, yeah, you know, what shall I do? My camel, this happened to my camel. What shall I do? This happened here to, you know, my stock. And, oh, we didn't have rain, because obviously desert, or they're perfect for those people. But if they're going to be advising somebody in London or Manhattan or you know, Tokyo, this is not, you know, these universes apart. So that's my point. That's my point. It's not, I'm not just hating on the individual. Wallahi, I have no hatred like that towards these people. What just enrages me is the hatred that's been spread, like it's so rapidly, like like an airborne virus that has been really pushed by this ilk. This Albani, Uthaymeen sometimes wasn't that bad, to be fair, but Bimbas and Fawzan and this kind of, this crew. Right, let's bring someone. We've had Hamad waiting here so patiently. Look at that, people. So patiently, yeah.
Subhanallah.
Alaikum,
Wow.
Hamad. Allahu Akbar. You see, with this patience, I can tell that Hamad, it must be in a very prosperous relationship.
Yeah, wallah, you changed my relationship with God, Gotta
Allah,
give props to you.
Allah,
Because,
Allah.
wallah, like I thought, because when growing up, you always hear this fear mongering. You always hear, the haram, hell, all this. And then, you change that perspective. Mercy of God,
Shukran, man. I appreciate that, Hamad. That's really meaningful. So,
Mm.
where are you from, by the way? Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Minnesota, but originally I'm from Somalia.
All right, look at that, people. Look at that. We've two major places being repped there. The Mali world. And you've got I follow those memes, by the way. I follow those pages. The Mali.
Yeah, oh, for real?
Yeah, I do, honestly.
Yeah, I heard that. I seen the videos, like there was a Somali guy, he farted and he was like, oh, well, alhamdulillah. I seen, I know the video talking about.
No, but I follow the actual, they've got like Mali World and a few other meme pages, which they're often sharing funny stuff.
Yeah, they're very funny.
Yeah, mashallah. So, yeah, no, I appreciate what you're saying, Hamad. And it's true that, look, people have associated, it's a shame that people have associated God with just punishment and being in trouble. That, God is this scary kind of father figure who, from the 19th century, that kind of, how the Victorian era of how children should behave in front of the father figure, that you look at him with this and this, this is how people treat God, that they treat him like he might do favors to them, but he's this very staunch parent, this kind of like benevolent tyrant, that he might kind of give things to them, but he's one of these that he
better watch out.
Yeah, so and I feel that it's a shame, because you go through life like that, and you don't need to, because that's not my understanding of how God is. My understanding is Allah says He's Rahman, He's Rahim, and often there's many things where we feel that, look, I would understand this, people would understand this, but what we're saying in essence is, but God wouldn't understand. That's in essence what's being said. It's like, look, I understand where you're coming from, and it makes sense, but Allah is still gonna punish, and we need to, and people have this guilt that they carry around.
True.
Yeah,
very forced, because like the message was very simple at that time, right?
Yeah. It was very natural. The deen was just natural for those people. It was like, you see, Islam came, and all it did was the way they had a natural lifestyle. It just gave them it kind of curbed in certain things that they were doing wrong, like arrogance. And so he said, look, don't do this is arrogant, don't do. It promoted compassion, charity, and things like this. Look, Allah says that innama ya'murukum bil adli wal ihsan. This is it. All Allah is commanding you is about justice and kindness. This is it. That's the verse of the Quran. Innama ya'murukum. This is all Allah is commanding you with. Justice and compassion. Now, and you see this in the lifetime of the Prophet. Their society was just naturally, look, even the salahs and all of these things, the timings, they were set around their natural habitat. Like, people woke up at that time. It was like, okay, now that you've woke up, offer some
go pray,
gratitude. Now you're about to go to sleep. People went to sleep, but obviously they didn't have these kind of artificial lightings. So they, as it got dark, people prepared to go to sleep. They didn't. And so now that you're kind of going to sleep, you pray something, you go to sleep. It was a simple lifestyle, and the deen was natural to them. But today it's like people have taken some of those rulings in a dogmatic way and said, well, so for example, they the arrogance that some of them would drag thobes around like the extra royalty, and it was like, look, what the hell is this?
I tried to keep my the thing, like the bottom of the thing, the pants up, because I seen a video where it's like if it's below your ankle, you're below your, you're going to hell. I was like, yo, really? And I would wallahi, I would walk around like this, and people would make me like, yo, what are you doing? All because of trying to uphold the deen, which is that's not even a thing you're supposed to do, or you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so, if one just puts the brakes on and says, look, let's just for a moment think about what we're saying. What are we saying? We're saying, okay, so let me get this right. By your trousers just slightly hanging below your, let's say, your ankles, God is gonna throw you into the hellfire. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. It's like, that's just like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, that's so dumb. Like, because why would you? That's like, okay, even if I didn't like, okay, so this is, let's flip that onto another parallel. Like, let's say there was a particular rule about clothing I don't like, and it's my building, my rules. So let's say somebody says, oh, if you're going to come in here, I want smart dress only. Yeah. Fair enough. You got to come here. You can only come in here wearing shoes, no trainers. This is like a clothing rule. Or if you come in here, no hats, no caps, no. Fair enough. Let's just say, even if it was this is how we're comparing it. That it's a kind of attire rule. Yeah. So somebody says, look, I don't want you coming in here wearing coats, or you have to take them off, or no caps. So somebody violates it. Yeah, so somebody comes in wearing a cap, or he's got trainers, and what we basically do is stab him in the throat. Like, look at what the hell. This is the kind of example that what you're saying is, I'm gonna burn you infinitely in fire for having violated this code of conduct. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. It's like, well, what the hell is that about? So that's
the thing that destroyed the Muslim world,
Yeah,
destroyed it, especially my country. Like before we had, because we were Sufis, and it was very simple in the Wahhabi civil war.
And Somalia, it's such a tragic. Obviously, you're so well acquainted with the history, but it's a tragic thing. The rise of the Mahakim. When you had the proto Shabab, before the Shabab rose up, you had the Tahqiq, Mahakim. Yes, so they began with these Mahkama Shar'iyya. We're gonna have Islamic Mahakim Shar'iyya, and this was the rise of that whole kind of Wahhabi thing. And before that, they were very Shafi'i, very and the bloodshed that followed, the massacres, and obviously what it did is it pushed it created a international refugee scenario situation out of Somalia, pushing people, scattering them throughout the globe, and obviously then creating a separate country as well.
Yeah, because who would leave sandy beaches and beautiful lands?
It's a very and even Mogadishu, the whole the level of prosperity it was at. Compared to what
exactly, it was it was called the pearl of
of the African Horn kind of
thing.
It was like a golden spot, and it's a shame that you see this, and to what avail, to what end, like what was achieved. They said, we're gonna وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ, and so many people were killed in the process, and it just ruined an economy. And where you see Somali community, you'll see where I don't know whether this is everywhere, but like I saw in the UK for years, not now. Now people have grown up, but initially when there was like this, so many people coming over, so set, like one of the first things, they were so integrated with IT, so talented on especially IT. This is one thing we noticed here, that this is just as an example of people, the talent that they were bearing, that this talent would have obviously, as an example, the ingenuity would have been invested in that country, promoting its GDP, promoting its global status. And it's not, look, wars and civil wars unfortunately happen in many places and tragedies, but it's a shame, especially when it was done in the name of God. Yeah, this is where it's heartbreaking. Yeah, so because really Allah, it's a, you know, it's a rahmah, but it's become a niqmah, you know, an adhab. But yeah, man. But I appreciate you coming on, sharing your sentiments and thoughts.
The question I wanted to ask you was,
yeah, sure, go for it.
You know, I seen your video on Musa alayhi salam, and you know the stick, you know the situation with the stick.
Oh right, okay.
You know, do you know about like the Kushite, you know, like those history?
The which one? The Christite?
Like, no, you know the Cushitic history. You know how like the Egyptians and then land of Pun, all this other things.
Okay, I'm not so sure.
Well, it was whatever. It's just okay. But the question I wanted to ask you was: did Moses take the Red Sea or the Nile River?
Oh right, so right now I would assume it wasn't the Nile, but I would assume that it was. You see, because what they call the Red Sea, nobody's sure what the Red Sea was. What is this Red Sea? And in Hebrew, they seem to have called it the Yam.
Yeah,
okay, now and Yam comes in the Quran as well, the word, and it's used for like either a kind of lake or some kind of like this water, you know, like a huge part of water, a huge reservoir of water. Now, some people say it could refer to a lake, it could refer to a sea, it could refer to a kind of gulf, but now there's a huge discussion. Why was it called the Red Sea? Because there is no Red Sea. So some people said, it was actually from the Reed Sea.
Yeah. And the Quran, this is suggested, and you know, Surah Taha, verse 78, where it says Al-Yam, because the same wording is used where Moses was put in a basket.
Yeah, Fil Yam. Yeah, which in that case would have been the Nile. Let's say if we're going with that understanding. So here, some people said it was the reed because the reeds grew there, and then later on it was translated as red. Some people said it was red because of the mountains, the kind of reflection during the daytime, because they had a reddish color. The water by reflection appeared red, but it wasn't actually red, but it was reflecting the kind of the mounts that were near side. But I feel, from what I've read Dr. Colin Humphrey's book on it, the Miracles Explained of the Exodus, and he seems to show that it seems to be the Gulf of Aqaba. And I think that is pretty much, I mean, it made a lot of sense to me. But you can check out his book as well. It is a detailed book, but he goes through all the miracles, explains them through a natural explanation of how they could have happened.
Well, you know, I seen this whole documentary where he said they went. You know about the Beta Jews in Ethiopia.
Right. Yes, of course.
Yes, he said so. He connected these people with the people of Moses, and it would make more sense that they took the Nile instead of going outside of Egypt, because you know the garrisons were already over there. You know, that's where the armies were. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, there were definitely strong links between what would be like maybe modern day Eritrea or before Ethiopia or Abyssinia, between those regions, and even the Nubian kind of kingdoms and Egypt. There were very strong kind of links, and it's a bit confusing because we're not sure, but there's some rabbinic literature and also some you know, kind of like, I believe, Abyssinian findings as well, that, or not findings, but I don't know whether it's writings or whatever, but there's definitely some things in the Talmud do also allude to Moses having gone there before. That it mentions that he went there and then he comes back after he fears a kind of and in fact they argue that he went there and he became quite powerful, almost like a king. But I think he was going to marry the queen or something, and then he fears this kind of attack and he comes back to Egypt. But then that's not in the Bible, but it seems to, in the Jewish Bible, but it seems to be in the Talmud literature that they seem to kind of have some stories associated that this happened. Now, I don't know, but then you have the Ethiopian Jews, for example, who then claim this heritage, and so yeah, and there was some findings that they claimed that the Ark of the Covenant was in Ethiopia, and there's this documentary on YouTube about it. But yeah, it's all very interesting stuff, Hamad.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more question?
Okay, sure, of course, go for it, Hamad.
Okay, it's just a quick question. You know, the early Muslims were praying towards Jerusalem, right? Were there mosques in Jerusalem?
Right now, no, they weren't. No. So you see, this is interesting. That where were the early Muslims praying towards? Now, Ethiopia. Right. Okay.
The Yeha temple. There's a temple in Ethiopia where it aligns straight with the Mecca, and it also kind of makes sense. You know, why would the Prophet choose Ethiopia out of all other places for for the protection?
Okay.
You know, because these people, what I feel like is these people all had a connection. You know,
yeah,
we're all connected in a way. Because
you're right, because this connection isn't really explained in like in the common narrative. So in the common narrative, it's given a very simplistic answer. Like people say, well, you know, the reason the Prophet sent them there because he heard there's a good person there, and he sent it. It's like a very like a baby-like answer to a complex problem. And I feel because at that time, if you're going to be honest, you see, there were three districts isn't the right word, but maybe like states, not states, but kind of regions. So you had the Northern Arabia, which would be today the Middle East, not Saudi Arabia. And then you had Arabia Petria, which would have been the Hijaz, a huge part of central Saudi Arabia. And it was the part which was kind of barren and all deserts and stuff. And then you had Arabia Felix, which was the southern Arabian kingdoms, because they had a strong Christian dynasty that preceded Islam by about 600 years. And, if not, sorry, if I'm saying six, maybe 800 years. And they were flourishing, and they had a strong connection with Ethiopia as well, and with that part, the Horn of Africa, because Yemen, which is modern day Yemen, but then would have been Arabia Felix, was kind of Bab Mandab is kind of connected almost to the Horn. And so they've even had a Jewish rule there as well, and that's where Abraha comes over from and rules. So the question is, if the Prophet was to seek sanctuary, so you had these, and then you also had the Sassanid Persians further north, and you had the Christian Byzantines, and there was a connect between the Byzantines and the Abyssinians, and also because they were Christian as well, and also the Southern Arabians. Why would the Prophet choose Abyssinia? Like, it doesn't seem like a natural go-to. There's these huge things. You could go up north where
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I find this very interesting. So do send me any research you've got on this, because I've not really researched this, to be honest. I understand that there's a deeper question mark, but I've not found myself, on to anything. So do send me something.
I would basically say they were just like all one big family, because when Najashi brought them in, right? He greeted them, "Welcome, O sons of our mother." Because Hajar, then maybe that connection.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, the Quran mentions like they all cried. How can they cry without understanding the so-called Arabic language?
Yeah. But awesome stuff, Hamad. It's been a pleasure having you on today. Take care of yourself. We'll speak soon, and drop me a message on social media, inshallah. On Instagram, I'll look out and always I'll flag your profile.
Okay.
Take care, stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum. People, that was Hamad, young talent right there, who, providing some thought-provoking questions. You know what? We are getting quite late. Let's try and have some quick brief. I know some people have been waiting, so let's try and have some quick, swift salam, so-called Arabic. What's this? Love, you can't do wudu with nail polish, by the way. You can, in my fatwa. Apone, I'm here to give fatwa. So yes, I've got a video on that. You can. Mufti, are you trying to build a harem here with all those female mods? Look at these haters, insecure people. See, insecure being around women, that is. You know what? I didn't actually read any. I had this book here. I did think, you know what, I should read one or two poems, but I don't. I don't know. Let's see if I. Hi. What about this for people who are still worried about Kaam ki baat maine ki hi nahi? That the real thing, I never even discussed it in life. Ye mera tore zindagi hi nahi. That this wasn't my style in life to get down to the deep matters and discuss them. Hai wo shok jo nahi tha kabhi. Hai wo zindagi jo thi hi nahi. Hi. He says that that desire which was never really there. That life which was never really lived. Amazing, people, amazing. This is Hazrat John Ilyas Sahib. This speaking about, since it's Valentine's. He says, "Kaun se shok kis havas ka nahi." That of which desire, of which lust is it not? Dil meri jaan tere bas ka nahi. Hi. He says, this heart, my dear, is not one that you can handle. You're John Ilya. He says, हम कहाँ से चले हैं और कहाँ कोई अंदाजा पेश व पस का नहीं. You know, I feel that he may have taken this from Ilya Abu Madi, you know, the Arab poet, because John Ilya used to read Ilya Abu Madi, where he has a famous poem, Lastu Adri, min ayna jit, ayna atayt wa ayna. You know, that poem of his, Lastu Adri, it sounds very, this part is like a spot on Arabic, almost like a translation of that part of it. मुझको खुद से जुदा ना होने दो, बात ये है मैं अपने बस का नहीं. Says, don't allow me to be separated from myself. The truth is this, that even I cannot handle myself. Just some very, I don't know, some Chekhovian kind of soul-stirring stuff. That's what I feel. I don't know. These are... Oh, this is that one that I'd said earlier on, that Hone ka... He says, Hone ka dhoka hi tha. Jo kuch tha, wo tha hi tha. That it was simply an illusion of being. That to be, this was simply an illusion. Hone ka dhoka hi tha. That jo kuch tha, wo tha hi tha. That whatever was, I guess, was. But he says, and this is the line I quoted earlier on, that Hamko sanam ne khar kiya. That it was my love, as in the woman he's speaking about here, who ne khar kiya, that ruined me. Varna khuda acha hi tha. Says otherwise, you know, I would have been better off with God. That, you know, when I made that choice, God or Kesa azal or Kesa abad. Azal is a pre-eternity and abad is eternity. These are, in essence, Arabic words. Kesa azal or kesa abad. What pre-eternity and what eternity? Jis dam tha lamhai tha. That no matter when it was, in essence, always a moment. Allah, Allah, Allah. If you think about it, life is always just the ever persistent now. It is always just the now. And everything else is either an anticipation or simply a memory. Allah, Allah, people. Sometimes people I get philosophical at this time of night. Then you wonder why I'm insane. I start thinking, right, so people look at that. John Elliott. All right, Tawsif Ansari. Let's bring him on, people. Tawsif, assalamu alaikum. Look at that. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Right, we can. Tawsif, ahlan wa sahlan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Where are you joining us from, Tawsif?
So I am in Ottawa, Canada.
Canada, Ottawa.
Ottawa is the capital.
Is it?
Yes.
Why did I always think it was...
Come on, it's not Toronto. Ottawa is the capital.
Wow. Okay. See, like, there you go.
Islamabad of Canada.
I was for some reason thinking it was Toronto. Okay. Wow.
Toronto is one of
See, that's weird because when I think of Canada, I think of Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal and none of these are Ottawa.
Yeah, that's correct. And so like when people think of Pakistan, they might think of Lahore and Karachi, but not Islamabad, right? So it's akin to that. So, well, it's very good to touch base with you. I'm one of your newer recruits.
Geo Tawsif Saab, you're doing it. I gotta say, just that style, you're killing it. No, go back. Yeah, I was like, look, this is some proper Godfather mode going on here.
I've got some musculoskeletal condition, so this is helpful. I'm 54 years old. Much older than you, Mufti Saab.
Yeah, but you're looking slick. Look at that. I'm loving that goatee.
Oh,
seriously, it's proper. You've got this Amitabh Bachchan vibe going on about you. Honestly,
seriously?
You're doing it. You're doing it, man.
So I mean, there are tons of things to talk about, and I'm sure this is very late in the night, so I won't probably take much of your time. But I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to share. So I've got tons of things to, because I'm a thinker, I think, and so
therefore you
are. I'm a research methodologist. I write usuls for research and clinical research. So I have a medical degree, but then I'm a scientist. So yeah.
Wow, very impressive, Tawsif. I mean, do share. I mean, if there's something that you want to ask or something,
here is a very simplistic thought. Now, cause and effect are interdependent. Logically, there's an interdependency.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So every effect must have a cause, but every cause must have an effect too.
Okay.
Right? You cannot have a cause without an effect. So the question then is, the most basic thing is to conceptualize, and I think we owe this to the Hindus.
Sure.
To conceptualize zeroness or nothingness, because that is what really should be there by default, that there's nothing. And you should be able to conceive of divinity in that nothingness. So imagine that nothing was ever created.
Okay.
So if nothing was ever created, then it wouldn't make sense to have those attributes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Okay. There would be no need for mercy, beneficence, so on and so forth, right?
True.
So would that mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as dependent on creation because he came to be? But that doesn't make sense because based on my reading of the Quran, there is nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
So as such, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a thing and is nothing. And so then so the way I conceptualize, I mean, I know that these are just speculations, not part of my Aqidah though. And
Sure. Sure.
Just random speculations. So in that realm of nothingness, at least now we know that the universe has been created.
Wow.
Because we live within it, right? So if you can imagine a counterfactual, so the counterfactual is already here in that nothingness that the universe has been created.
Yeah.
That means in that nothingness lies, if all the things that have been created were never created, this implies that in that nothingness lies all the potential.
True.
For everything that exists and everything that could exist but does not exist.
Wow.
And everything that could ever exist and does not exist at this point in time. Right? So this is my understanding. So that's why I think, and I suspect, when it comes to Arabic, it's almost zero, my understanding of Arabic, but I suspect that is what the al in Quran is. It is the origin of mercy, the origin of creation, al-Khaliq, because that al has to exist even if nothing was created.
Okay.
I don't know if it's making sense, but
no, it's very, very profound. I mean, it's very thought-provoking and very deep, and I love it. I'm loving what I'm hearing. Honestly, I want you to come on a mind trap, and and I want to discuss at length and hear from you. Not just discuss. I want to hear these thoughts. I mean, I think this is incredibly profound. I mean, it's obviously so. But go on. And I don't want to interrupt.
So my understanding is that al is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's al-ilah. And then it becomes Allah. So he is the al, the origin of gods. And ilahs in this case would be all the other mala'ul ula that exist, right? Who have the power that govern the creation and all the forces, the junud as-samawat and ard. So it is the origin of everything. Okay. And all attributes belong to him so they are his possessions rather than his identity.
Of course.
Right? So Allah's ruh, for example, is something that Allah possesses. So my pen is not me.
Of course not.
Right? So then there is a very thin line between theism and atheism. Because really, to begin with, there is nothing but potential, and it's completely nothing.
And what's amazing is nothingness cannot be conceptualized.
Exactly. Exactly. So there is in mathematical zeroness, there is impotency, right? It is impotent. But the zeroness we are being guided towards, based on my reading of the Quran, is a zeroness of all potencies. And that's how I conceive of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it is a potentiality for everything, which is in a timeless realm. So that means, and you cannot add time to Allah's realm, and that's why Allah is unchanging.
Of course.
There's no change to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that means all the creation starts off at time zero and is created backwards in time.
Yeah, and that's what's
so that's qada and qadar.
And Stephen Hawkins also kind of, he speaks of this of several similar things in the theory of where he's speaking about the of everything, but of the universe, and this thing about if we bring everything back to zero. But yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
So this negative, so this going backwards in time. So that means the future already exists.
Of course, yeah.
And maybe that's why in some of the verses of the Quran, the Qiyamah has already happened. That's how it's articulated. Everything is rent asunder, and things have opened up, and the earth. So the way I conceptualize it, and that also explains the predestination. That means everything is preordained because it's backwards in time. But then we have free will because from our perspective, the arrow of time is going this way.
Yeah.
Right? But from Allah's perspective, you're just coming to the future where Allah exists. I mean, I shouldn't say future because Allah is in time zero.
Exactly.
And so it's just a circle.
It's a different perspective altogether where it doesn't.
Yeah. So you start at time zero, you do a full circle, and you return at time zero. And in that sense, you can say that the universe is never created, and the universe is always created, is always there, because this is time zero. Right? And you can have multiple cycles of birth and rebirth, and I would argue that Quran doesn't actually deny reincarnation. And actually supports it.
That is actually, I remember discussing that briefly on one of the shows, mentioning that is true, exactly, that there have been some Muslims, whether they were fringe or not, I mean, they were fringe, but they argued for reincarnation. It wasn't like the Buddhist or Hindu reincarnation based on karma and things.
Yeah.
But they used the Quran for their points. And I remember reading through what they were saying. And just from an objective viewpoint, okay, let's see what their arguments are. And it's actually like, okay, well, they're actually using clear verses of the Quran. And you're like, well, okay, I see now. Yeah, but sorry, you were saying. Yeah.
Well, so I'll just cut it short now. I think it's dragged on for quite a bit.
But I mean, no, I you know what, I love I love being, seriously engaged in this kind of intellectual channel. It pulls me in, man. And I don't, it's not very often that we come across people. Unfortunately, I'm not saying they ain't out there, but that we come across, especially within the Muslim sphere. And that I think it's amazing. Seriously, just the philosophical angles you're discussing, and there's a lot to unpack here, because we're speaking about the ontological nature of the cosmos. We're speaking about its connection to God, and almost the ontology of God, if we can even use that. But we're trying to say, well, what is the nature of being and the nature of time, obviously as an illusion, but then how we're seeing it and from the other perspectives. And you know what, you have to reach out to me as soon as when we finish this show. Are you on Instagram or something?
I just joined it because of you.
You joined Instagram. Okay, excellent.
So the thing is, I'm not very tech savvy, although I do work a lot on laptop. That's how I work. But I am not on these most of these networks, platforms like Instagram. But I joined because I wanted to connect with you. I really liked what you were saying, so I watched some of your videos, and I'm really quite impressed.
I'm impressed with you, man. You're just really firing some gems at us, and I'm loving it. So if you can, and I'm definitely send me a message. And what I want to do, Tausif, is let's hook up a mind trap. I will then get in touch, and I'll send my number and everything, and we'll get chatting, man. It's been a pleasure, honestly, and I'm really glad you came on. It's a blessing. Take care of yourself, Tausif. By the way, I think there was a proposal for you along the way. Somebody had even.
I have a 20-year-old kid.
Well, I think the proposal's for you, but It's good to see that you're thinking about your kid first, but
Inshallah.
right. So
Okay.
Tawseef, take care of yourself. We'll speak soon.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
People, that was Tawseef Ansari, really sharing some gems with us. I love it when you come across sheer intellect. It's amazing. It just grips me, man. It's but I want to make that mind trap happen, inshallah. So let's do that. There's been some amazing people I've been reaching out to for a mind trap and things like that recently. I'm also been speaking to Dr. Joseph Lombard, who has agreed as well to do a mind trap. So that's going to most likely be, I don't know, actually. I'll double check with him. It might be this coming weekend, or maybe the week after, but that's somebody lined up. I have also reached out to Dr. Celine Ibrahim. I watched her video on female archetypes in the Quran, and I really liked it. So I've reached out to her, but I haven't had a response yet. But I've had an indirect response from somebody else saying that she's mentioned she's happy to come on Mind Trap. So cool. Let's see how that goes, guys. It is getting late, but I know some of you have been waiting, so I will try and but I'll have to keep this brief, unfortunately. But we've got Rational Faith here. Rational Faith, who's been waiting quite a while. Assalamu alaikum, Rational Faith.
Oh, walaikum salam, Mufti. Can you hear me?
Right, I can indeed. All right.
Okay, right. I don't want to discuss the. One thing I do want to mention that a few people said to me last time that I did come across as a bit rude and a bit smug. That wasn't my intention. It's my first time doing it.
Honestly, I've forgotten.
Yeah. Well, a few people said that.
What happened last time? Well, I don't remember. It's like this is like one of those. You wake up and you're like, "What happened last night?" I honestly don't. Remind me. What did we?
About Akhenaten. Do you remember?
Oh, right. Yes, of course. I remember now. Yes, Akhenaten. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So I wasn't, intending to come across as being rude or anything.
No problem, man. Look, these things, it's all good. You know what? There should be passion. There should be some fire in the belly. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It keeps people going. I don't hold these things against people, by the way. Like there's a difference. Obviously, there's a sense of being rude like this through passion. No, not that you are rude, but let's say being being like forthright in what you have to say because of passion and whatever, or you get into a little kind of a kind of dispute dialogue. This kind of stuff is not considered like I don't take offense to anything like that. There's obviously different, somebody just swearing nonstop, and that's different. Obviously that's just silly, but I don't get offended, so it's not sort of water under a bridge.
Oh, brilliant. I did want to discuss something. Have you heard of Ghulam Ahmed Pervez of Pakistan?
Yeah, I have, of course.
Yeah, and he doesn't believe in the virgin birth, and he has a very interesting theory. So what he says is,
I don't believe in the virgin birth.
Yeah, me neither. And when Mary goes to her people, and Jesus says, "I'm not a rebel. I'm a mother. It's not a bad woman or something." Now that isn't talking about her committing adultery, according to him, but it's the fact that she broke the rules of the temple and got married. Because if we look at the sort of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we know that there was a community in Jerusalem called the Essenes, and what they did is they didn't actually get married. And Josephus talks about this as well. That you had the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. And the Essenes, they didn't tend to get married, so they would stay single. And what they're referring to, that you've done like an amazing thing, is actually her not is actually her getting married and having a child. And in 344, I did come across this.
What's 344?
Well, let me find the verse.
No. You're talking about the Bible. Is that what you're referring to? Okay.
No, No, the Quran, the Quran.
Oh,
It
you're
says
speaking about the Quran. Okay.
yeah, where you weren't there when they cast their lots to see
Oh,
who would
yes,
take
yes,
charge
yes,
of Mary.
Mm,
Yeah,
of
I
course,
did
yeah.
come across an apocryphal called the Proto-Evangelium Jacobi, or the Evangelium of James, and in there it mentions that the casting of the lots.
Yeah.
That was Joseph casting lots to get married to Miriam, and traditionally people have translated this to mean Zachariah, that it was him that was doing it. But if you read a few verses before, it mentions Zachariah already took charge of Mary. And
Sure.
Surah Al Imran is chronological about Mary generally. So it goes from her being born, and then it goes to a temple and a marriage, and then Jesus and him. So if Zachariah was already in charge of Mary, what was the casting of the lots? And then to me that would be, and I think Gabriel Reynolds, he's also said that this is talking about the Proto-Evangelium of James.
Sure. So what are you saying so just to clarify, the casting of the lots regarding Mary,
Yeah.
what is that signifying? About her proposal? Something
Yeah,
else?
the proposal. So
Proposal to
it
marry.
says you weren't there when they cast the lots or
Yeah.
disputed about her.
Yeah.
And in the Proto-Evangelium, they cast their lots to see who would marry Mary, and Joseph ended up winning. And so it makes sense for there to have been a dispute, because why would there be a dispute between Zachariah taking charge of Mary? That doesn't really follow, if you see what I mean.
Right, sure. No, okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't see. I mean, I've not really, to be honest. I think, yeah. I mean, I've not really looked so much into that verse on what exactly was it speaking about. But you're right. It sounds very interesting, because thinking about it, it could have been, what is this exactly? Because there's an ambiguity around it. So yeah, I will actually try and look into it now that it's brought to my attention.
Yeah, and I think historically, I think Mary, they might have been from the Essene Jews, who were like ascetic sort of Jews, who lived a simple life. They were them sort of people, and they didn't get married. They didn't believe in luxury and that sort of thing. And I think that's why the Bible references John as eating wild honey and so on.
Sure. No, no, absolutely. I mean, my take on that was that the verse of the Quran is referring to the incident. I think it's in the Gospel of Luke, but it's about when Jesus is about 10 or 11, but when he's brought to the temple in Jerusalem, and he gets left behind on the caravan. So Mary goes back, and then she comes back, and it's been a couple of days. I think 3 days. It mentions that she's looking for him. She can't find him, Jesus. So it's only mentioned in one of the Gospels, not in the others. But she eventually finds him, and he's in the temple. But he'd been arguing. I mean, I say arguing, but he'd been debating the high priest, and they're really annoyed at him because they consider it very disrespectful. So this incident referring to when she comes to collect him, and them saying that, what is this? That you basically, your father wasn't this and your mother wasn't this. Like, are you not a woman of good, like of decent, noble character? As in, is this how you raise a child? This is, in my understanding, what the verse was saying, and this is also what Maulana Abdul Karim al-Athari and these people write in their tafsir as well. So
yeah. I think Ghulam Ahmad Pervez, I think he does use a lot of Abdul Karim al-Athari's interpretations, especially about the jinn.
Right, okay.
That the fact that jinn are human, he uses that as well.
I see. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that is an interesting one. Yeah. I have quoted it on my thing of who were the jinn of Suratul Jinn. Because there's jinn are mentioned in many accounts, but what is being meant there? But yeah, epic. Shukran for sharing that rational faith. Dearly appreciated, and shukran for waiting patiently as well. And do stay in touch. Somebody did ask, are you on the fan group, Discord group. I'm not sure if you are, but they said, "Is that Rational Faith from the?"
Yeah, I am on there.
There you go. This is him, people. This is him. So, guys, so Rational Faith. Okay, take care of yourself.
Yes,
We'll catch up soon.
great talking to you. I'll see
Shukran.
you
Likewise,
soon.
man. Stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum. So, people, that was Rational Faith sharing some insights on tafsir. There was a post here. I just wanted to bring it up. I might have. It's gone up now. I don't know where it is, but somebody said. I thought it was relevant because here it is. Al-Murabitun Mufti, I want you to become economically independent from this man, so you don't have to worry to do this full time. Al-Murabitun, you see, now that's concern. Look at that. But for your, just so you know, I don't do this as I'm not getting paid to do this. This isn't. I am actually financially independent, alhamdulillah. I do, I'm involved in different businesses, investments. I also crypto trading. I do. I'm very independent financially, and hence I can have my kind of views and have these kind of things. My lifestyle as a movie critic and a vampire, but I do these things, and I know when I do, people do support me. So there's a lot of people who support me on Patreon, and much love to you guys. And there's people on YouTube who do support, like, let's say they send super chats on the Monday nights, and this is really them just showing their love, which I appreciate. And obviously my du'as are with them, but I don't do this. That's as a kind of livelihood thing, not at all. In fact, all this thing of YouTube and super chats, and it's only since 2020. It's not, if you go back to Monday Nights with Mufti, since 2017 I began this. There's over 200. I mean, this is the meetups, but it's been over 200 episodes of Monday Nights with Mufti, and none of them had that feature. The majority of them didn't have that feature where people could do things like send super chats and stuff like that. This is only since what is it? It's probably not even been probably just about 12 months now, or under 12 months I enabled it. But I do this for a legacy. You see, this is this thing, look, people watch me for different reasons. I get that. To some people I may just be funny, and to some people I may, maybe they like the poetry or they like certain things, and to some people maybe the religious stuff. But I use that as a vehicle to kind of also, carry across my views. And obviously there's humor and there's poetry and there's other kind of things I muck about, but it's about the message, the kind of the ultimate the kernel, the actual lubab, the lubbul lubab of this, the nectar, is really the message that I put out there. And really that is a legacy, that I see that as a legacy, that one, for it to impact the hearts and minds of whoever does impact, and then secondly that it's something I leave behind, inshallah. It's jahan mein tumhare the kya kar chale, as Mir says, that yes, you've come in this world, but what have you left behind? So I do this purely this is not, honestly, I don't think and not to sound with my kind of mindset, if I didn't enjoy doing these things, it doesn't matter, I suppose, unless it's a ridiculously absurd amount of money. But it'd be very difficult to get me to do stuff. I have one of those very, like, if I don't want to do something, I just don't do it. I don't, the amount of times and even though money is great, it's always helpful and solves a lot of problems, and it's good, and I encourage people to always make money, but it's not such a highly motivating factor, if you've got a certain amount of money. But it does, obviously, look, things help. It's not denying that, but this is really a legacy. But shukran for your concern, and I'm glad that you echoed what you were feeling in your heart as a genuine, obviously as genuine compassion. So shukran. Right, people, we've gone on quite a bit. XRP after the trial, the crypto's been down actually. I don't mean the exchanges, although Binance was down a couple of days ago, but it's more the market's been down these last couple of days. It's been a bit weird. You got to juggle, stop and shift across. There's been some gainers, but the market's been a bit weird recently. But yeah, let's see, people. Let's see what I'm gonna just do a few quick high buys. Inaya, that's a very that's something which I was mentioning the other day, that look, atoms are people, we are just matter is just empty space for the most part, which is so counterintuitive. Altcoins are coming up this month. Rosalina, they sure are. It's strange because the other day, what is it? Bitcoin was once again back on it. Ethereum was on it, but I don't know. Today it was off again. I don't know. Let's, guys, who have we got? Jawad Sahib. Let's have a quick hi bye and then assalamu alaikum, Jawad.
Wa alaikum assalam. Sorry, I was trying to finish the ayat.
How are you doing, man? How are you keeping?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm good. Look at you. Check you out, lying down, chilling out.
Look, I was waiting for so long. I changed rooms. I went from a chair to now laying down.
Look at these people are watching us lying in bed.
Yes.
Wow.
In the spirit of Valentine.
Allah. This is it. Like in the verse that they do dhikr standing, in ruku, in sujood, lying down on their sides. They have in a state of remembrance in all states. Vah.
Yeah. So how's everything with you?
Yeah, things are good. Lillahi alhamd. How's what about you? I know you're always in deep meditation and
yeah, I was actually doing some pondering recently on some stuff.
Okay, what were you?
So I was getting these ideas sort of in my head, and I was just thinking that sorry, let me just sit up or else my voice won't be clear. Okay, so basically I was thinking about how there's a lot of focus on the outer aspects of Islamic practice rather than the inner aspects. And I was like for example, if somebody saw you, and I could say this from personal experience, if somebody saw you the first time, they would be like in shock, like, who is this? It's a mufti. How is this a mufti? Because
they're like, what the hell is that? That's the devil.
The Punisher.
Well, people.
So
even I get shocked sometimes. I'm like, whoa, who's? Oh, that's me. Okay.
So what I was actually thinking was, and this was sort of what I was thinking, it was that maybe there's a lot of extremism because there's less focus on the inner aspects of the religion.
Somebody just said, I watch Mufti when I'm on the toilet. No disrespect.
I can't take my phone in there. Just that's just me personally.
Seriously, I don't think I can go into the toilet without the phone. It's like I can just, I'll be like, no, just hold on more. I need to get the phone. It's like
no, I'm the opposite. I'm in and I'm out very quick.
Look at this. I think the bathroom is where I get so much of my inspiration. It's like where I get so many ideas. I don't know what kind of a twisted joke there is in the planning.
There were some artists I was reading about where they would get ideas for their paintings in the bathroom. This was like a thing for painters, that I was reading, there were some really famous ones that
I
had.
get, honestly, it's. I think it's actually quite common that people will have like they'll have so many ideas and things whilst. And I think it's to do with, obviously people tie it in with a sense of release and satisfaction with that, and relaxation. Sorry, not satisfaction, relaxation of the mind. At a very, obviously, if you're looking at it from a psychoanalytic view, it's going back to infancy and whatever, and the whole anal stage, but not anal in that sense, Freud's anal stage. But yeah, so you're saying, sorry.
Yeah, so I was talking about the inner aspects of the religion, and how, like, if I were to say today that, like, I'm gonna become a practicing Muslim, the first thing people would, look for is how I'm dressing, and whether my beard is, like, is my beard growing out or not. And instead of, the inner aspects, which is why a lot of people like criticize people, like even scholars that don't keep a beard. Like, for example, within the Shias, there was Talib Johari from Pakistan, may Allah be pleased with him, who passed away. He never had a beard. There were other ones, from the Sunnis as well, that don't really have, that never really had beards. And like, a beard is just one example, but there's so much focus on like the outer aspects rather than the inner aspects.
Because the thing is that somebody just asked, not that you need to answer, but they've asked whether you're a Shia. Right, so
no, I'm not.
I don't think you Jawad is a Shia, but you see, the reason that people are fixated on the outer is because it's easy to do, and it ties into people who need. You see, people that are unfortunately drawn towards religion sometimes, they are, not always, but some people are quite unfortunately, they are people whose minds are a bit, I don't know if challenged is the right word, but they're kind of a bit autistic in a socially sense, that they need hyperstructure. Like, they need everything to be structured. Like, I need this in life. And even if they're not fully autistic in the autism spectrum sense, but they have this about them. And then they find this in religion quite easily, especially harsh religion. It provides a very clear structure of like do's, don'ts, do. This is the box. This is what you do. This is, and they can, you see, to them, that is what their life needs. They need structure. They need to organize. It's like, I remember being at a psychology session with some of the tutors, and they were one of the tutors, she was a lecturer, she was telling us that, how actually, now thinking about it, she might have actually been speaking about herself, but she was saying about or unless it was someone else, but about when they go shopping, that she needs to place, like, once the goods have been kind of scanned through, she needs to place the thing in the shopping bag in a certain order. And if she doesn't, she was saying, like, let's say her husband or somebody puts it and they'll just put it in, it's like she'll be like, no, like, leave it alone, I will do it, because it needs to be in a certain order. And you see, this is what you find, that these people, they find great comfort in organized, harsh, hard, like, it's not about extremist, but in very institutionalized religion, they find comfort because it gives them this wrong, right, wrong, right. And that's what they need. They need like hyper order, like not even regular order. Yeah.
So the reason I was thinking of this was, like, for example, I was just pondering on like Salah, right? Like, I was just thinking about,
sorry, somebody just said, Mufti Abu Layth, I'm sorry are you Shia, Sunni, or Wahhabi, or Ahmadi? I'm Sunni, thank you very much. People, look at this, the Inquisition is taking place right here. They're about to, on Valentine's Day, we're about to be
so the reason I was thinking about this was because I was thinking, like, for example, the messages, like, for example, Salah teach us, like on a very basic level, for example, Salah teaches us like things like, time management, being on time to places, and if you're praying but you're not on time, you're sort of missing that whole, that sort of aspect of the prayer. Another thing I would like on a deeper level, I was thinking of Salah, and I was thinking about how Salah actually teaches us not to discriminate amongst Muslims and non-Muslims, and I can actually back that up. So, for example, when we pray Salah, Muslims like that are rich, poor, black, white, Arab, non-Arab, you could make the whole list. Basically, they all pray beside each other, right? Like they pray in the same masjid, for example, right? Now, somebody would say, okay, but that's not discrimination against Muslims. How is that teaching us to not discriminate against non-Muslims? And I would argue that it's teaching us not to discriminate or spread hate to non-Muslims, because those non-Muslims could tomorrow become Muslims, and they would not want to pray in your masjid because you were the person who discriminated against them, who spread hate against them. So why would they come pray at your masjid? Even if they became Muslim, they would hesitate to come to your masjid, right? So it's teaching us, that's like a deeper level of, for example, that's just Salah. Like if I had time, I could go into each practice, and that's just 2-3 examples from Salah. Like Salah teaches so much more. Like if I had an hour, I could probably go into the deeper levels of like numbers of rak'ah and things I've thought of.
I think if you do, what's going to happen is everybody's going to kind of like knock out, and then they're going to miss the actual Salah. No, I'm messing. But no, I do appreciate. You know what? I love the passion you're pouring, Jawad. You know what? I love that, man. So much passion for Salah. Aajkal milta hi nahi hai. It's like, you make us embarrassed of ourselves. That,
I struggle with it too. No.
Us people are like, yaar, is it Salah time? Chalo, baad mein. Here, Jawad is like, yaar, the inner heart is pouring out. He's like, وَقُرَّةُ جُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. I am, my desires, my heart is content in Salah. Hum gunehgar, us sinful people. We're more like, yaar, I gotta clock this whole TV series tonight. What the hell?
I do that. I can't lie. I've been in that situation.
But Jawad, it's been epic, man. Shukran for sharing your insights, these gems. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
And inshallah, we'll speak soon.
All right.
All right. So, alaikum assalam. People, I'm just going to take one final one. It's gone over 3 hours, 10 minutes. You know what? Hamad, go on then. What the hell? He said he's got a funny story, people. He's got a funny story. Let's hope this is funny.
Walaikum salam, Mufti. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you joining us from, Muhammad?
Okay, so I'm a Pakistani, but I'm from America.
You're doing it, man. I like the gaming. Are you a gamer?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Look at that, man. I gotta learn how to game. Right. So I wanna get into gaming. I've bought my PC, a big bloody monster, right? I haven't set it up yet. I gotta get my bloody techie guy to set it up for me. But
wow.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need tips on how to play, once I start that damn thing.
Yeah, Mufti Sahab, I messaged you on Instagram about this game called Among Us. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, but my daughter plays it. What is it? That's a kid's game, isn't it? No, Among Us.
No, it's not.
Pretend to be dead or something, and
no. It's basically 10 people in a room. They have to do tasks. So basically, like a police force of 10 people, and 2 people are imposters, and the imposters have to kill the rest of the police force.
Yeah, Layla plays it, and she's like Among Us, and because I used to say amongst us, you see. So then, because she was like Among Us, and I didn't realize. I was like, amongst us. What about amongst us? I realized it's this game, and yeah, she showed it to me, and she was playing it, and yeah, like you gotta be an imposter, or you gotta be this and that, and okay,
Yeah.
you want me to play that? Nah, yeah, I'm talking about shooting up people and doing that. I'm talking about crazy. I don't want to play this imposter kids game.
Mufti Saab, then I don't know, like maybe Call of Duty,
Call of
PUBG,
Duty.
PUBG.
PUBG, but I think Call of Duty is more. Isn't that more profound? As in out there, or is PUBG? Which is better?
I guess COD is better. Yeah, COD is more diverse, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Call
It's
of
more
Duty.
into it.
So
Yeah.
how difficult could that be? You just got to get a gun and just shoot. So I'm thinking, these other games, because they're too daunting. I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to learn how to play? It's like, so cool. So you got to send me some tips on that once I start. You know what? When we finish this, send me an Instagram message. So I'll flag your profile. So it'll stay up. So I'll know what's.
Okay, inshallah.
Also, what was there something you wanted to? What's this funny convo you got here?
Okay, so I wanted to
make us laugh.
I wanted to ask if Mirza Qadiani was alive today. Mirza
Okay.
Sahab, आपके favorite?
So
तो अगर
disclaimer here because no carry on.
अगर तो मिर्जा साहब आज जिंदा होते और आज लाइव स्ट्रीम पे आते, so what would you say to him?
You see, to be fair, right? Somebody just said, "Oh, Mufti play Fortnite." You know about what is it about Mirza Ghulam Qadiani Saab? I've got a video obviously explaining my perspective on him. I did.
I watched both of them. They were hilarious.
You know what it is? They Darasal Pangalia, these people, they provoked me. And because normally, you see, my thing was that, look, TK, obviously, my point is that, look, Ghulam Mirza Qadiani, I think he did have some mental health issues, yeah. And to me, it's not the person, it's always the people who are following him. That how can you be duped? And this was my point. So I was like, what did he achieve? Like, I want to know, what did Ghulam Mirza achieve? And I was going to have a mind trap discussion, actually, with one of the Qadiani representatives. But I don't know why they took it to this nasty level and started kind of trolling me and making videos against me, and then when I asked them nicely that, look, listen guys, baaz aa jao, enough of this, you better stop, and then they're like WhatsApping me, trolling me on WhatsApp, and I'm thinking, and then there's like about 40 of them, and they're spamming my Insta. Every picture they would just like 5 different people would post the same refutation of Abu Layth. I'm thinking, Abbas Salo, you guys, look, listen, this doesn't suit you, this kind of bullying. It's like, baaz aa jao, I'm playing nice.
Yeah, you deserve to be in a library.
I was like, listen, nerd. Tum logon ko ye bullying suit nahi karta. It doesn't suit me. And I was like, okay, you know what? You want to troll? Chalo, theek hai. Puttar, aa jao. Now and so I did that, and obviously serial kisser Hari Ram.
Serial kisser. Hari Ram Qadiani.
Yeah. So, but if I was okay, let's say that hadn't happened like that. If they weren't trolling me and they weren't being rude and and it turned out to be a civil conversation, I would have seriously because look, there's many Qadianis that I know, because one of the problems is now that I've done that, obviously I've kind of pissed off all Qadianis. So now any Qadiani that was going to be kind of very, I don't know, had an affinity towards me watching my stuff is now going to feel offended and they're not going to watch it. So I realized by doing that, I'm also burning bridges, and I didn't want to burn bridges, to be honest. It's not my style, but it was just that they pushed me to that edge, and I asked on several occasions. Honestly, I said to them on several occasions, "Baaz aa jao. This isn't," because I said, "Look," and I said it straight. I said, "When I flip, I said I'm going to come all out on your Qadiani Saab. So I'm telling you now that don't, just leave it alone and stop trying to troll me." But they wouldn't, and they did it for like a week. And then when it was less than a week, but it was about 5 days or something. And when it was Monday night, I was like, "Put I've had enough of your nonsense." So, on a serious conversation, if it was to be a civil conversation, my point to them would have been that what is it that this Messiah brought? Like, let's have real talk. Okay, put the jokes aside. Real talk. That let's say he is a Messiah. He came at a time when humanity was at its darkest point, in colonialism, like especially the Muslim world was at its darkest point, not humanity, but and the Muslims were extremely suffering during the British Raj. And it was at that time that, there was all these, it was just, there had been famine before in Bengal, and there had been, all these kind of like people, the dynasties had ended, and there was poverty, and there was disempowerment, and all this kind of stuff was going on, and mass murders of people that were resisting. What is it that Qadiani Saab brought to the table? Like, I want to know, like, if he was the Messiah, surely he would have changed everything. But like, let's say him coming or not coming, what is the effect? Like, I want to see, like, that's real talk. Like, I'm not trying to take the piss out of him or something. I'm just being real. Tell me, I want to know, what did he, and this was what the discussion would have been about, that I want to see that what did he change? Like, how is he so, because this is the one shot. This is the one shot that humanity has. A Messiah for the end of times has come. And, God is going to break the laws of nature once again and send this Messiah. And I want to know, well, what did he do? What happened? Because I can't see anything having changed.
Yeah, besides that, his claims were pretty weird too, like Krishna and all that. Like, come on. Where does that come in?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, obviously that kind of stuff. But I mean to the Qadianis, not to him, because he's obviously not here. I genuinely think he had some kind of psychosis, and where he may have genuinely believed he was like an incarnation of God. And this does happen to people.
Yeah, he did do drugs. That's actually well known about him.
Okay, I don't know that. Did he do drugs? Okay.
Yeah, he considered it halal or something. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, there's certain drugs that I've obviously, like heroin and stuff like that, are clearly haram, but certain things I've said are not necessarily haram. But he was
on opium, I think. Yeah, I think he was on opium.
But you see, my point about Qadianis is not to today. It's not to him. He's gone. It's to the Qadianis today that look, real talk, that what is it that has been brought? And I understand it's, look, I've had Qadianis reach out to me, who have told me that, look, I am Qadiani, but in all honesty, I've been watching your stuff, and this is real talk, and I don't want to, I don't believe in that. I don't believe he came as a Messiah and whatever, but I can't say, because it's the same thing. It's such an irony, because the Qadiani community speak of persecution, and which some of them unfortunately do suffer persecution, and that's wrong categorically. And that's unacceptable, to persecute any person for being a Qadiani or being any group. Now, but like in Pakistan, how it happens, and unfortunately sometimes some people are attacked and stuff like this. But this guy said to me that, look, Mufti, if I give up, if I openly in front of my family and my relatives let them know that I have denounced Qadianism and become like a regular Muslim, like I will be like my life might become
disowned.
Not just disowned, but they'll make it very difficult for me.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing difficult about religion in general. Yeah.
Yeah, the irony is that persecution coming 360. It's like, you see, the person where the victim turns oppressor, that cycle is being relived, and so that's But yeah, shukran for bringing that up. It's not quite the note I wanted to end it on, but that I was expecting a funny story.
Yeah, I had a funny question. Like I wrote in the chat, I got a funny conversation idea. So I wanted to ask if Mirza Saab came onto the stream or like a Mind Trap episode, like would you joke around with him or something? I don't know.
I think I'd joke around with anybody, to be honest. Yeah, Hamad, it's been epic. Shukran for joining us. But you know what? You didn't bring a funny. You got to come back next time with a funny story. Now, that's like a debt.
Oh, yeah, Mufti, I have to now. Ab to karna padega.
Yeah, kuch to karna padega, you know. So, and message me on Insta. I'll look out for the profile because I'll need the gaming tips. And you're doing it, man. Hamad, doing it.
Yeah, like it's kind of unfortunate that the episode's kind of ending, but like I wanted to have a serious
$3.5 गुजर गए हैं यार. It's been 3.5 hours. I was thinking of having a long bath today, like one of those, like fill it up and kuch maze se have some ice cold drink, some ice cream, watch a bit of TV series. अबे सालो तुम लोग जीने नहीं देते मुझे.
यार मुफ्ती साहब हमें आपसे प्यार ही बहुत है.
यार Gio. No, I love you guys. But
no. yaar, Mufti Saab is like too bad the episode's ending, or else I wanted to have a discussion with you about like my experience with religion, philosophy, and all that, because I've had like a pretty tough year. Let's just say that 2020 was a hard year for me, like just for like a lot of people. So like I basically fell into skepticism, you know, like Imam Ghazali skepticism. Like I'm pretty sure we've read Al-Munqidh min ad-Dalal. Where Imam al-Ghazali starts doubting everything.
Have you watched my this week's Just Gone Monday Nights with Mufti, where I speak about the whole Ghazali thing?
I didn't watch the entire thing.
Okay, so maybe the timestamps should be up now, but if you check, there's a point where I speak about, because I'm asked the question that did Ghazali kind of impede Muslim growth in, you know, reason and stuff. But I digress, and I go into this whole struggle of the existential and the faith crisis of Imam Ghazali. It's definitely worth watching because I think it's going to really answer some of these questions that you're kind of touching into. Somebody said, "I bet you only watch the masala section." Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, do watch that. Let me know, and we'll touch base and we'll pick this up, man.
Yeah, the thing about me was I had OCD while having doubt. Okay. So that's basically like doubt upon doubt, because OCD is called the doubting disease, where you keep getting anxiety about a thought, and it, like, once you get rid of it, it comes back at you.
Yeah.
So like, let's say I have a waswasa that God doesn't exist. Okay, then I use an argument or rational reason to overcome it. Like 10 minutes later, that same waswasa is going to come at me even harder, that no, God does not exist. And like, it's really distressing. Just like the hadith where a companion came to the Prophet ﷺ that, Ya Rasulullah, I get such waswasas that if I would rather wish to die than to utter them. So the Prophet ﷺ, like, he said, is that really the case? Then he said, Naam ya Rasulullah. So, okay, that's the sign of Iman.
Yeah, so, that's the hadith is dhaka sarih al-iman, that is pure iman. And yeah, I mean, I do explain, although it's not about OCD, but I have a clip speaking about doubts, you see, and how doubt always, there's nothing wrong in having doubts. Obviously, OCD is slightly different to just having doubts. It's the whole compulsive disorder in itself, because it's like a spectrum. I mean, some parts can completely cripple life, and in some ways, what I would say is, seriously, I know this is going to be really hard, but I would say that you have to resist the kind of the whatever the waswasa is. So if it says you missed a bit of wudu, you just ignore it. If you missed You missed it. If it says you might have done this rak'ah, this might be that. Fine. If it was wrong, it was wrong.
Yeah, Mufti Sahib, I've been dealing with this for like a year now. Alhamdulillah, like I've been getting therapy, I've been getting help. It's been good. Alhamdulillah, I'm over the dini waswasas phase. Alhamdulillah, like I studied philosophy, I studied epistemology, all that, and Alhamdulillah, I can say it with confidence that I'm a Muslim of my own will. I'm not a Muslim because my parents were Muslim. Alhamdulillah. So yeah. Like that's like my
giving me some good advice there. Do some meditation, Hamad, and drink calming tea. Always drink tea, huh? Put the kettle on. Chai. Garam chai ki pyali ho. That's it. So people, you know what? Well, Hamad,
chai is the answer to everything.
It is amazing, fantastic tea, sir. Well, Hamad, I'm gonna wrap up. Take care of yourself. Message me. Shukran for reaching out. Much love. Cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. People, that was Hamad. Interesting thoughts, interesting discussion, but not really as Chai Guevara said. Look, it's it was funny story. We ended up giving therapy instead. Look at this. See, Mariam, you're doing it. Much love. Look at that. There was a quick message from Monotheism saying, look, he's been blocked on Instagram. Right now, I don't know what right, I don't know if you've been blocked. I'll tell you what, if you message and mention it's you, and I'll try and look through some of the blocked things, yeah. Yasir Lahu, I'm starting to lose hope. Yep, it's going to be difficult, man. You might as well let that hope go for tonight. So let's wrap this up, guys. It's been epic. It's been awesome. As always. Right, look at that, Karima. You see, that's what it is, chai. That's what I need right now. I need so I need to go get that. I need to clock some more TV series. I need to see what else I'm gonna have to do. So, guys, take very good care of yourselves. I will. I did have this meme page set up.
We can't do this. No podemos.
Right, so that's Malm's meme page. I set it up to basically to be able to just put non-stop memes, because the problem was that when I was sharing some of these memes and funny things on my regular Instagram, I've got too many to share, and if I flood it, it's not right, because it kind of ruins the ambience of the page, because I'm trying to sometimes give some serious deep thoughts. And so I thought, well, I know a separate Malm's meme page. So if you haven't already where's it gone? Right, so if you haven't already, there it is again. Right, you can see it. There it is. And I will be having the Discord, inshallah. So there's two different Discords, by the way. So this one that I'm showing you right here is for the members. This is a membership program one, which has several. It's going to have several features on there, resources, platforms which I've named, where there'll be kind of like discussions, things like this. Right, so this is mainly for members from Patreon and the YouTube membership once that's running as well. But that said, and this is called Mindscape. So Mufti's Mindscape, okay, or Malm's Mindscape, I've called it on there. Now, there is a Discord which Inaya has, and I think it's Dark Matter, I think he runs it. But that's a fans Discord group that's open for everyone. I'm pretty sure somebody, maybe Inaya or somebody else, will share the they'll share the link, their Discord link in the messages here, so you can kind of you can go through to that. But on that one, I'm not actually a part of that, but I will I was just discussing today, I will upon occasion maybe just come as a guest to deal with some Q&A and things like that as a one-off kind of thing. But I'm not actually, this one that I've been showing you is a separate, this is Mindspace, it's called, the server, and the whole purpose of it is really for membership kind of content. It's basically to give people that, you know, that extra edge, people. So yeah, anyway, guys, take very good care of yourselves. Have an awesome night, awesome weekend, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Till then, Salamullahi alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, people. All right. Have an awesome weekend, man. Spread love, people. Spread love. Salamullahi alaikum.